Alrighty then. Hello everyone, my name is Caden and welcome back to more Steins Gate 0. Last time we achieved the Maho ending, which Law learned from it, but this time, well, now we got that ending, it's time to go start heading down on the more paths. So let's see, I think I have to go to the orbital eclipse here. So for us to get the Maho, so there are technically three other endings left in the game for us to obtain at the moment. Or yes, overall, why did I say at the moment? Duh. Before, in order to get the Maho ending, we had to ignore the phone call from Amadius, but in order to continue onwards, we need to answer it. I'm a bit scared about answering this, admittedly, though, because last time because this call, when we didn't answer it before, it caused the world line to shift. So I'm scared, is something going to shift again when we answer the call? I'm always scared when the world line shifts. I don't want to see it shifting any more than I already have to. Well, not like I got much choice. Shall we? Hello. Help me. Krisu? Help me, Okabe. In that instant, I suddenly felt incredibly dizzy and everything went black. Yep, it's happening again. The world line shifting. Oh! Oh! What the? Oh no! Oh god, no, 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 no. That went back to the Alpha World line. We just went back to the Alpha World line, didn't we? We went below 1% divergence. I felt like I was floating up from the bottom of a black pit. My mind slowly began to clear. Where am I? Oh god. No. No, 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 no. If we went back to the Alpha World line, then Mayuri is dead. I slowly looked around from the room. There's no way I could mistake it. This was the future gadget lab. And if Mayuri's dead, then Kurisu might be alive. The place I'd been just a moment ago. There was nothing unusual about it, except for the fact that everyone was missing. They'd been there just a moment ago, but now they were all gone. We went below 1% divergence. I was expecting it to be like before, where it was going to be like maybe like 0.02 difference. Not freaking half. I looked at the clock. I think we genuinely might be back in the Alpha World line. If we're back in the Alpha World line, oh god. Please, why? What caused such a dramatic change? When we didn't answer it before, it was a change of like it was a decent change, but nothing big. It was like, if I had to take a guess around the ballpark of like, it was probably like 0.02% change. Before, when we didn't answer it. Why did answering make it a difference of like 0.5? It had been just about 3 p.m. when I finished my call with Maho. Only a few minutes had passed. Even if I'd passed out, it was impossible to imagine all of them leaving me here. Which meant... No way. I took a slow walk around the room. I'm terrified because I think that might mean Mayuri's dead. But at the same time, it might mean Kurisu's alive. But at the same time, it also means CERN is a problem now. There were other strange things. Dora's PC, for example. There was a thin layer of dust on the keyboard, as if no one had used it for a while. And then the corner of the room. Normally, that was where Mayuri put her bags. The paper bags where she always put the cosplay outfits she was working on. I'd seen them there just a moment ago, but now they were gone. Could this be... The world line changed again. But why? Come think of it. Reese was worse from before. Help me, it said. Why? What did she need help from? Why would Kurisu say something like that? What would an AI need help from? Obviously from something like that's tampering with it. Did it have something to do with the world line shift? I took the phone out of my pocket and went to start the Amadeus app, and then stopped. It's gone. The Amadeus icon was gone from my phone. Yep. If this is the Alpha World line, then unfortunately that means three things that I said earlier. Mayuri's dead, Kurisu is probably alive, and CERN is after us again. What's going on? My mind raced to try and come up with an explanation. But of course, I came up with nothing. Calm down. I know what's going on here. You need to calmly find out what this world was like. I was about to walk towards the door to find out when... the back of the room. I heard a sound from the back of the development room, which no one ever used anymore. Someone was there. Who? Daru? Mayuri? Is it Kurisu? I slowly approached. Is it Kurisu? It is! I almost couldn't breathe. I never forgot. I'd never forgotten her. The girl standing there. Was Kurisu Makise. I knew it. So we are back in the Alpha World line. Why? How did we get such a giant change like that? It doesn't make sense. How did we get such a huge change in the world line? In order to change from world line A to world line B, we had to go far back in terms of like we had to do like a lot of things. But now it just happened in one world line shift. And this isn't like we're not even in the problem of World War III anymore. That's another thing that's been changed majorly. World War III, not a concern anymore. Dystopia is the problem now. Once again. How the hell did we get back here? Kurisu Makise was looking down at something. This is impossible. Kurisu couldn't be here. Because she was dead. Was I seeing things? Was my desire to see her making me hallucinate? But it seemed far too realistic to be a hallucination. Still, I felt that if I spoke a word, she'd disappear. Couldn't say a thing. What was she staring at without even moving a muscle? She was so still that I thought she must be a hallucination after all, but then... she finally exhaled a little, and slowly turned around. You even have your old sprite again! Yeah. Okabe. My throat was dry, and I couldn't speak. If you're standing there, you should have said something. You scared me. You're supposed to be dead! Mayuri's supposed to be alive! Where's Daru? I don't get it! Happy New Year's. Anyway, it's not often I see you come by anymore. Okabe? Kurisu? It's really you, isn't it? What kind of way to start off a new year is that? Are you okay? Did you eat something bad? Even her slightly peeved expression. Kurisu. What? In the gentle flash you sometimes saw in her eyes. In this... What's wrong? Are you really okay? Even her warmth. Wait, what are you doing? It was an hallucination. Or an artificial intelligence on the screen. It was the real Kurisumaki-say. Okabe. The real, live Kurisumaki-say. Okabe, please, let me go. I'm sorry. Please, let me stay like this just a little bit longer. Are you crying? I realized for the first time that my cheeks were wet. I felt her soft hands on my back. Don't worry. It's okay now. Kurisu. It's okay. It's okay. She whispered to me in a soft voice and pat me on the back and wrapped her arms around me like a kind mother holding a child. I'm scared. I'm scared of this world line because it means that Mayuri is dead. It means that Mayuri's dead. It means that CERN's after us. It means that we can't trust Tanuji, Moeka, even Nae. Hey. This is... It means that Sasua is completely different. I don't even know if Sasua even exists at this point. Or did she already go back? I don't like this. I finally calmed myself down. She was still there. She still existed. Now that I'd calmed down, I'd realized what that meant. No, don't worry about it. It happens to me too sometimes. That... You're thinking about my area where you... Don't say that! Ugh. Shit! We literally have just begun and it hurts! I didn't want to come back to this world line ever! That's right. Kurisu was here. Which meant this was the Alpha World line. How the hell did it change so much? This doesn't make sense. Usually we would only be able to do... Like, I thought we had to wait towards certain points where we could... At certain convergence points. Unless... Wait. Was the day that we were just on, was that a convergence point? I thought we had to wait towards specific days before we could do big world line shifts. But... What if the day we were on was a day where convergence was allowed? Where we could shift world lines? The world line without Mayuri. The world where Mayuri died. Some small part of me had wished that this was the world beyond Steins Gate. That it was a new future, which someone else had opened for me. But of course, that was too good to be true. There was no way for me to know what had happened. But I must have made my choice. To give up on Mayuri. There was a future where she was... There was a future where she was gone. This is too much. This is too much. Confronted once more with the reality of Mayuri's death, my heart felt like it was about to burst. Mayuri. How would she die? Okabe? No. Did they push her in front of a train? Did they shoot her? Or... Calm down. Kreese's tiny hands wrapped around mine. Okay. Come on. Deep breaths. Little by little, my racing heart began to calm down. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. No, it's not that. It's not... Are you going to take something? I'll bring you some water. I rummaged in my pocket and found a small box of pills. It was the same anxiety medication that I'd already been taking. Even in this world line, I was still on the same drugs. I looked around the room while Karisu got me some water from the tap. Hey, Okabe. Why? Why'd you come back here? What? You haven't come here for a long time, you know? Even Hashida stopped coming. Daru too. Yeah. The room was awfully clean then. I took a closer look and saw that there were a few places like Daru's PC that were covered in dust, but the rest seemed to have been regularly cleaned. You... Kurisu, you've been coming here. Sometimes. They'd be sad otherwise. I didn't have to ask who they were. Mayuri loved this place. She loved the future gadget lab. She loved the time she spent with all the lab members here. I already hate it. I want to go back. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? Because I waited, but no answer ever came. What was she apologizing for? For talking about Mayuri? For making me remember? Or for making me choose? Kurisu. What? No, nothing. Okay. This... I don't even know where to begin here. I mean... This is a completely different world line again. Or rather, it's the old familiar one. And yet at the same time, it's completely different. We never got to this point in time in the Alpha world line. We never got to see what it was like half a year after the events of the first game if we stayed in the Alpha world line. It seems as though evidently CERN hasn't taken us. But if we're in the Alpha world line, then again, CERN also has to be involved. If I said something, she'd answer me right away. You know, there's actually another thing that I'm curious about now, which is Kagari. I'm curious, does Kagari even exist anymore? Because in the beta world line, Kagari traveled with Suzuha to the past. But does Kagari even exist in the Alpha world line? I mean, technically speaking, yes, she would exist. Because she's not... Kagari's not Mayuri's biological daughter. It doesn't matter if Mayuri dies. Kagari will still probably be born. Because whoever her real parents are. But what happens with Kagari in the Alpha world line? We didn't even know she existed in the first game. In fact, she didn't exist in the first game. She was never a factor to consider. But knowing what we know now, it's possible she could have always existed in the Alpha world line. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she exists in the Alpha world line. But what is she doing in this world line? Did she travel back with Suzuha, just like in the Beta world line? Or does something completely different happen? And what about Daru? Daru has been said to not be coming here anymore, but is he okay? I could reach out and touch her. That alone brought me to the verge of tears. If I just stayed here, like this. What was I thinking? I'd given up on everything and left her to die. And still, I was happy to be back here in this world line with Kurisu. As I was sad over losing Mayuri, part of me was thinking I was one to stay here. Even though I didn't have the right. If there was a god in this world, he must be a cruel, twisted being. Why was he doing this to me again? What was I done wrong? I'd already made my choice once. There was no way to save the world. There was no way to save Kurisu. But with Kurisu in front of me, I was starting to waver. Should I go back to the Beta World line? Should I send the D-mail? D-mail? Hey, what happened to the phone wave? What? You destroyed it. Did you forget? Yeah. That's right. The phone wave no longer existed, it seemed. Of course it didn't. Its mere existence had made us a target of CERN. But without it, I couldn't leave this world line on my own. So even if I did stay here in this world line, it wouldn't be my responsibility. It wasn't my fault, it wasn't something I wanted. Which meant... Hey, Okabe. Huh? Sorry, could you go get me something to drink? Something to drink? I'm thirsty, you know? Something more warm if you could. I can make instant coffee if you want. Wasn't that what Kurisu always made me do? 2 cubes of sugar, no milk. We're out of coffee. Okay. Yeah, I should go. I want to get outside and think things through. Something sweet, with milk and sugar. I thought you didn't put milk in your coffee. On cold days, I always want something sweet and creamy. Roger. I stood up and headed for the door, but turned around halfway. It's so weird seeing you again like this. What? Yeah. No. It felt like if I took my eyes off her, she'd disappear. That was far too embarrassing to say. Okabe. Hang in there. I'm not a kid. I can run a simple errand. Yeah, you're right. Bye. My whole body relaxed the second I stepped outside the lab. Evidently meeting the living Kurisu had made me really tense. I didn't know how to talk to her or what to say anymore. Even though I'd spoken to Kurisu like it was the most normal thing in the world. I still couldn't believe it though. Was this really the Alpha World line? There is no greater confirmation than the very existence of Kurisu, I feel. No, if Kurisu was here, it had to be. But then why? That's the question, alright? What the hell caused such a drastic change? What could have possibly caused it? The only hint we have as to what could have possibly caused such a big change in the world line is the final thing that Amadia said to us, which was, "Help me." Why did she need help? What exactly was going on? Was she being tampered with by CERN or by freaking Leskinen or someone? Amadeus in general seems to have some function of a phone wave, I feel. Or I don't know. How... I don't know. But we've had multiple world line shifts throughout the game happen. None of them caused by the player. None of them caused by Okabe. But they just happen. So why? Is it something that Amadeus is doing? Is it something someone far away is doing? Is it Russia? Or is it... I don't know. Who would cause the world line change and how? It has to be related to whatever the hell Amadeus was doing. Whatever the hell Marius was going through, it has to be related to the timeline shift. That call from Kurisu. But what I don't get is why. That was such a big change. When we didn't answer the call, it was a change of like 0.2 or something like that. 0.02. Not enough, nowhere near enough to change the world line from beta to alpha. But when we answer the call, it suddenly gains 0.5, enough to completely shift everything. Why was answering that call from Amadeus able to trigger that big of a shift? Was that what triggered it somehow? No, I should stop thinking about it. If someone else had caused it somehow, I shouldn't get involved anymore. I didn't want to. I didn't want to overthrow the structure of the world anymore. I just wanted to live in peace. In a universe with no world lines or attractor fields. World line convergence zone. This is the standard accepted model for quantum physics in 2036 after the many worlds interpretation and the Copenhagen interpretation. It is a deterministic interpretation where many world lines gather into a world branch called an attractor field. This attractor field is simply a zone in which all world lines will eventually reach the same end result. Major splits in the world line are at the attractor field level are called world line trunks. One pre-2010 example of a world line trunk is the year 2000. Colt Government, a single-action semi-automatic pistol created by the American weapons manufacturing company Colt. It gets its name from so-called government model civilian version of the U.S. military's former official handgun, the M1911. It was first adopted by the U.S. military in 1911, and over the past century has seen countless variations. It is the weapon of choice for shooters all over the world. A10 nerve. An A10 nerve is a type of dopaminergic neuron. That is, a neuron that emits dopamine as a neurotransmitter. Dopaminergic neurons in mammals are divided into groups from A8 to A13, and the A10 nerves are responsible for sending dopamine from the ventral tegmentum in the midbrain to the cerebral cortex. Dopamine is a pleasure hormone that's sometimes called a natural drug. When a human being feels satisfied, dopamine is emitted from the A10 nerves and they feel pleasure. I don't even know if it's... I mean, without Steins Gate, there's not really a good option to choose between world lines. You can choose... without Steins Gate, the two options of the world line alpha and beta, they're not any good. There's not one... Both of them suck. In world line alpha, you get Mayuri being dead. You get the world being taken over by CERN. And you get just depression. And in the beta world line, you get Kurisu being dead. World War III starts in the future. And depression. There is no winning. Is there a third world line? Is there a Zeta world line? I don't know. Or Delta? Charlie? Fango? Earl? I'd stop letting the whims of fate rule my life. There was nothing left that I could do. Suddenly, something seemed very wrong. Carisu's words a moment ago. What they meant. Hang in there. Hang in there? Why? She couldn't mean to... I turned around and rushed back into the lab. Wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? What? Kurisu. You... That... Too bad. I guess he found me. Damn it! She was just where I'd seen her the first time, standing and looking toward the back of the development room. In the depths of the darkness. In a spot that just a moment ago had been covered by cloth, I saw an old microwave with its door taken off. You rebuilt it! A cooking appliance that heats moisture and food and using microwave... Yeah, I know if a frickin' microwave works. The phone wave named something to change. Future gadget number 8. Do I even want to go back to the beta world line? It's not any better. There's no good world line. Aside from Steins Gate, there's no good world line. And to even get to Steins Gate, it's just torturous. It was the gadget that had changed my fate. No, the fate of the world. How didn't I destroy it? Yeah, you did. This is a new one I made. You can call it the Foam Wave Custom. Or wasn't the real name a little longer? Maybe it should be the Foam Wave name set to change custom. The name doesn't matter, you were made it! Why? To send a message to the past. I'm going to send a message and change the world line. No. Maybe it would be better to say fix rather than change. I actually finished this over a month ago. And since then I've been standing here wondering whether or not I should send the message. I certainly didn't expect you to come see me though. What are you... Tell me, Okabe. You just came from another world line, didn't you? It was probably the beta world line. Am I wrong? Yeah. I forgot. You're freaking clever. You're freaking smart. So of course you knew. You could tell. You never do something like that otherwise. Something like what? Well, the way you hugged me, you know? It was also wonderful. The way her cheeks ran in embarrassment and she looked away. The way she pursed her lips. The way she fiddled with the ends of her hair. Everything was just so wonderful. I realized it again. I was in love with her. And what's more, someone else caused the world line change. You didn't do it voluntarily. Yes, But what are you gonna do about it? Am I right? So you know everything then. You realize how much time I spent watching you? Huh? No, it's not like that. I mean, like, I don't mean like watching you, but, well, I do mean in that sense, but... Anyway... She took a deep breath and looked up at me again. If you came from the beta world line, then you chose that world once before, doesn't it? She was so far beyond what I could hope to be. In those brief moments, she discovered it all. She was right about everything. But even so, I couldn't let her know. Admitting that would mean admitting that I left her to die. There was no way I could do that. I'm sorry. In the end, that was all I said. But that was an admission, all the same. Instead of looking sad, she... Don't apologize, dummy. It was your choice, right? So have confidence in it. She tried to cheer me up. That's right. Kurisu was right. I was the one who chosen the beta world line. But it's not any better. It's not just a world where Kurisu dies, but the world gets to live all hunky happy dory. It's a world where she dies and it's still going to end. But... And you know, I don't think you're wrong. You just got here, so you wouldn't know, but for the last several months, you've done nothing but blame yourself. Not that you'd ever let me see it. It was the same. It was the same as what I'd gone through. It was the same as the beta world line. But there was nothing I could do. Because your pain was because of me. You'd suffer so much to let me live. But that ends today. It has to. What do you mean? Because if it doesn't, the guilt is going to keep eating you away at you. In the end, it will crush you. It's the same. What do you mean? In the end, no matter what choice I make, I regret it. Not being able to save you, not being able to save Mayuri. It doesn't matter whether I'm in the Alpha World Line or the Beta World Line. So maybe I should just stay here. Get a hold of yourself, Rentaro Kabe.
クリス。
Kurisu,
なんて顔してるの
snap
よ。
out of it. This isn't like you.
私の好きな本
Hyoma human I love is always more
もっ
confident.
と自信に満ちた顔してなきゃ。
Hyoma human, huh? There was a name I hadn't heard in a long time.
あんたは正しい
You
道
made the
を
right
選択したの。
You chose to say Mayuri and you
マユ
weren't
リを助けるって
wrong.
いう選択。
でも、
But I let you.
いい？
Listen,
今あんた
what
が
you're
ここ
seeing
に
right
いるの
now
は
is...
そうね。
It's a dream. That's all.
夢？
夢？
A dream.
そう。夢の
That's
中で
right.
あんたは
You had a
私に
dream
会った
where you met me. That's
た
all.
だそれだけのこと。どう？
Well, doesn't that make you feel a little better?
少
No,
し
it
は
fucking
今の会社
doesn't! Kurisu sighed a little and laughed.
これだけ脳の
We
研究
learned so
が
much about how
進
the
んでい
brain
るの
works,
に
but we still don't understand the
夢を見る
mechanisms by which we
メカニズムに
dream.
よって眠っている間に
The brain organizes
脳
and
内では
processes
記憶の
memories
整
during
理が
sleep.
行われている。
One theory says that dreams are a
その
result
過
of
程で
that
発生するの
process.
が夢だ。要するに
In other words,
ここ
this is
は
a
ベ
dream
ータ世
world
界
being
線のあん
experienced
た
by
が
you in
迷
the
い
beta
込ん
world
だ
line,
夢の中
so
の
you can
世
get your
界。
head together,
あ
you
んた
know?
の頭の中、そしてこれが
And
夢
if
な
it's
ら
a dream, you have to wake
い
up
つかは
someday.
目を覚まさなきゃならない。
Am I wrong?
でも、
But this isn't a
これは
dream!
夢なんかじゃない。
You're right!
現にこうし
I
て。
reached down and touched her cheek. You're right here, aren't you?
現にこ
感触だって
Touch sensations are just
脳
another
が
of the
感
brain's
じさせ
functions.
ている機能の一つよ。
She took a quick step back. The sensation of her cheek disappeared from my fingers.
だいたい
You
こ
won't
こ
be
にい
happy
て
here
もあんた
anyway.
は幸せに
You'll
はな
never
れ
be
な
rid
い。
of the regret,
ずっと後悔。そして
and neither will I.
それを
ベータ世界線
That doesn't change in the beta world line either.
俺はずっと
I've done nothing but regret that I
お
couldn't
前を
save
助けら
you.
れなかっ
だけど
Mayuri's happy at least, isn't she? Mayuri is...
た。前よりは
She doesn't know anything. Because that's what I wanted. I wanted her to know nothing and be happy. For now, that wish was still coming true, but
あんたは
you want Mayuri to be
永遠に
happy.
笑っててほしい。私も同じ。
So do I.
同じな
I'm
の。
the same way.
ということは
Which means that you made
や
the
っ
right
ぱり
choice
あんた
after
の
all.
選択はま
I'd finally met her again, but she was here, alive, right in front of me, but
もう
oh, come on! She walked up to me without even trying to hide her frustration.
いい加減にしなさ
Stop
い。
this nonsense already, Rentaro Kabe.
一度出した結論
You
でしょう
already
が。
reached your conclusion. You can't stay here. You have to go back.
帰ら夢から
You have to
覚め
wake
な
up
き
from
ゃ
the
いけな
dream.
いのよ。だっても
Because I
うもう
don't want to see you suffer like this anymore.
そうやって苦しむ。
クリス。
Kurisu,
さ
come on. This is a
あ、これ以
waste of
上の
time.
時間の
I'm
無駄
doing
よ。
it.
私はやるから。
Please don't. She turned away from me. I could feel the strength of her will, her resolve. I remember what I'd seen just after I'd come to this world line. Kurisu had been just standing there, in front of the phone wave. Thinking back, she probably already made her decision. Without anyone knowing. Without anyone to say goodbye to. She'd chosen to go to a world where she would no longer exist. It had probably taken her a long time and a lot of struggle to come to that decision. She'd probably asked herself 1,000 times if it was really the right answer. If this was what she'd chosen after all that. I didn't have the right to stop her. It would be wrong.
ねえ岡部、
Hey Okabe,
夢か
before
ら
you
覚
wake
め
up,
る前に
promise me something.
一つ
約束？
What?
ベータ世界線
When
に
you
行
get
った
to the
ら
beta world line,
私のこと
forget
を
about
忘
me.
れなさい。
Bullshit. That was just the opposite of what she'd said that day. That day. The day when I'd chosen the beta world line, she said to me, "Don't forget me." But now she was asking for the opposite.
忘れるなんて
Forget you. You know I can't do that.
できるわけないだろ。
She was always like that. She always cared more about others than herself. She always sacrificed herself. She was asking me this for my sake only. She didn't want to be forgotten. She hated being forgotten more than anyone else could.
言ったでしょ。
Remember what I
これ
said?
は夢よ。
This is a dream.
夢は普通。
Once you wake up from a dream, you forget what happened, right? She was stubborn and bullheaded. I would never be able to forget her. But
子供の頃に
I
見た
still
悪
remember the
夢は
nightmares I had when I was a
今で
little
も覚えて
kid.
るぞ。
誰が悪夢な
Who
の？
are you calling a nightmare? It was all I could do to keep from breaking down. That was probably the same for her.
とにかく
Anyway,
私の
forget
こと
about
を
me.
忘れること。
Forget about what happened today and everything that came before.
それが私の
That's what I want.
望みだから。
She turned around and stuck out her pinky finger. She forced it around mine.
指切り
It's a pinky promise. Lie and I'll stab an Electra in your hippocampus. Got it?
電極ぶっ刺す
You can't do this to me.
指切った。
随分と
It
転
doesn't
が
rhyme at all.
ほっとけ。
Shut up. Her hand moved away from mine. Her gaze looked away from me. It was almost time to say goodbye. She was sending a message to the past. I knew it was the right thing to do. I knew this was what she wanted. But still,
クリス
our voices overlapped.
Do-
What is it?
どうし
あんた
You
こそ
first.
なんでもない
It's nothing.
た
I
だ
just want to say it out loud. The name of the person I cared for.
偶然
What a
ね
coincidence.
私も
So did I.
同じ。
The name of the person I loved.
ね
Hey,
え、あんたは
do you
覚え
remember
て
when
る
we first met?
忘れられる
Of
わけ
course
が
I
ない
do. You made a hell of a first
なんと
impression.
強烈だったか
それを言うなら
So
あん
did
た
you.
の方こそ。あんた、
Really?
あの
I
時
never
は
thought
ま
things
さ
would
か
end up like this.
こんな、まさか。
I never thought that that encounter would lead to meeting someone so important to me. Not that I'd say it now.
まったくだな
That's right. I couldn't say it, but
でも言っと
just
く
so
け
you
ど
know, you're only allowed to remember our
私
meeting
た
right
ちの
now.
出会いも覚えててい
Even
い
for
の
a
は
little.
今のうちだからな。世界線が戻っ
Once the
たら
world line goes back, you have to
忘れなきゃい
forget.
けないんだからな。
Even just for a second.
分かってるよ
I know. Just for an instant.
うん
So you're going to forget me.
そんなに簡単
Just
に
like
忘れ
that.
られるんだ。
If it would last for just a little longer.
お前が言い出したこ
This
と
was
だ
your
な
idea. Her voice.
そうだけど、
That's
そん
true,
な
but
風
it
に
still
あっさ
pisses
り
me
言わ
off
れ
to
ちゃ
hear
う
that
と
you just say it like it was
それはそれ
nothing.
でムカつく。
The way she moved.
忘れろと言ったり
First you want me to forget, then you want me to not forget. Which is it?
一体ど
Her
っちなの
smile? It's a joke. I'm just kidding.
なんだ
Oh, it's a joke?
嘘なのか
そう。
Yeah,
嘘
just a joke. Just a little longer. So that I can remember it all. But I was out of time.
岡部、
Bye.
それじゃ
Those words were the sign that the magic was over.
あ
Yeah. There were a million things I wanted to say. But I stopped with myself. Karisu smiled, satisfied, and turned back towards the foam wave. She probably already had the message ready. The foam wave started to boom and crackle like thunder. There was a long, long countdown. The whole time, Karisu faced away from me. And I just watched. The noise got louder. The countdown continued. And then... it was time.
岡部、
It's time to wake up.
いい目覚めよ。
Karisu turned around with a big smile on her face. Her voice was cut off by the roar. We're back in the beta. Do I even want to be back here? And then I woke up from my short dream. Why? Color gradually returned to my blacked out vision. The lab started to come back into focus. I could tell immediately that the world line had changed. I could still see Karisu when I closed my eyes. But she wasn't in the development room anymore. It was like the whole thing had been a daydream. I felt like I'd been caught in the boundary between dreaming and wakefulness. I was back. Back to a world without Karisu. This wasn't the Alpha World line. There was no point in even bothering to check. A moment ago, only Karisu and I had been in this room. And now everyone was here.
おかわり。
Ocarine, what's wrong? Are you sick?
いや
No, I'm
大丈夫
fine.
だ
Mayuri,
お薬
Want some
飲み
medicine?
ますか？
平気だよ
I'm fine.
心配ない
None of you worry. Lukaku and
本当に？
Really?
無理しちゃダメ
You
だ
shouldn't
よ
push yourself.
Kagari Shina. If Mayuri and Kagari were here, that meant I was back up to the Beta World line.
ちょっと
I'm
腹が減っただけだ
I'm
朝
just
か
a
ら
little
何も
hungry.
食べてなくてな
I haven't eaten anything all day.
Come on,
もう
Ocarine.
さん
You
な
need
ら
to eat or you won't get big like Uncle
ちゃんと
Daro.
ご飯は食べ
ああなるほど
I'd rather skip a meal than end up
一
like
緒に抜い
him.
た方がマシだよ
Okay, Mayushi will make something then.
マ
You want
マ
mommy? Can you?
作れるの？
What's going on?
Hikari, not you too. Yuki's been teaching me things lately. Okay then,
僕が
I'll help.
手伝うから。
待ってくれ
Wait,
Huh?
すみません
Sorry, should I not help?
いや
no, that's
So
not it.
did I.
That's not it at all.
そうじゃないんだ
I looked around at everyone and then back at Kagari.
かがりさん
Mishina,
やだな。
Ocarine. I said you could just call me Kagari.
かがりでいいって言って
Something
る
was
の
different.
に。
じゃあ
okay, Kagari, can I ask what you were calling Mayuri?
さっき
I called her mommy.
Why?
どうしても
Why?
何も
Because she's my
ママ
mommy.
はママだよ
Right, mommy?
ママ
This isn't the same world line that we were in. This isn't the same world line that we started the stream in. This is different. Why? What's going on?
It's kind of embarrassing to hear that.
I felt vaguely dizzy watching Mayuri fidget in embarrassment.
知ってるのか
Then the two of you know that you're mother and daughter in the future.
未来の世界で
Huh? You're the one who told me about her.
俺が
I did.
That's right. You said it would be better to know the truth, right?
Yep. Did I really tell them? Did I tell them something so important?
じゃあ
Then does
もしかして
Lukaku also?
ルカ子も
ごめんなさい。
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to listen in, but
聞く
I
つも
heard
り
it
はなかったん
anyway.
ですけど。
Lukaku lowered his head in apology. What does this mean, though? What?
で
Oh,
も
but don't worry.
大丈夫です。
I haven't told anyone.
他
And
の人には僕
being able to share in everyone's
ちょっとだ
secrets
け
kind of made me
嬉し
happy.
かったんです。本当は
I would have been happier if you told
直
me
接
directly,
教えて
but
もらえればよかったんですけ
Even
ど。
Lukaku knew about Mayuri and Kagari. Which meant that, of course,
でも
still, I was really surprised. I thought the time machine was only
タイムマシン
fiction.
とか未
I
来
had
と
no
か
idea you could make it real.
お話の世界のものだって思ってたんですけど。
I knew about the time machine. He knew about the time machine. Evidently, I hadn't simply come straight back from the Alpha World line. This is a slightly different variant of it. One where everybody in the group seems to know. I was in a world line slightly different from the one I'd been in before. The divergence meter I'd used before was gone now. I mean, I didn't have a precise number, but this all felt very different. The problem was finding out what was the same as the old world line and what was different.
かがり
Kagari, can I ask you some more
もう少
questions?
し
何？
What is it?
I showered Kagari with questions in an effort to find out what was going on. Here's what I learned. First, Kagari retained her memories of her childhood, in other words, the year of 2036. So she never had amnesia. She knew Mayuri, Daru, Suzuha, and also Ferris and Lukaku. But as for what the world of 2036 was like, and how she'd become Mayuri's daughter, she hadn't told them the details about that. So, is that different? Fortunately, they hadn't seemed interested in knowing about their futures. Everyone always thinks they want to know what their future holds. But when the chance finally comes, fear outweighs your curiosity. The future wasn't always a happy thing. Knowing the future might destroy your dreams. It might be a death sentence, like it was for me. Some people would lose all sense of meaning in their lives if they knew there was inevitably going to be a war in which 5 billion people died.
それじゃあ
Then, it was definitely your staying at Lukaku's that brought
ル
you
カ子
here,
の家に
right?
居候したのがき
うん、
Yep, and it was you who brought me and Mom together, Ocarina. Don't you remember?
いや、そういうわけじゃないんだが。
I just thought I'd double check,
一
you
応
know?
確かめておこうと。
Double check, huh? You're acting weird, Ocarina.
Kagari going missing had happened almost exactly as I remembered. The same was true of how she came to us. And
行方不明になって
you
いた
don't
間
remember
は
anything about what you were
どこで
doing while you were
何をしていたの
missing.
か。
No, that thing. The first thing I can remember is lying on a bed in a temple.
She was still missing some of her memories too, but not all of them like before. In other words, in this world line, the only memories she had were of her childhood and of the last few weeks since she had woken up in the Chiba Mountains. The most important part was still missing. Was there anything else I needed to ask? I was staring at the floor, trying to think when I realized that something was missing.
床が
The floor is clean.
綺麗だ。
Eh?
Oh, I cleaned it before you came.
いや、そうじ
No,
ゃなく
that's not
て
it. Wasn't there a little hole in the
床に小さな穴
floor?
が開いてたはずなんだが。
Wait, they never came to get Kagari.
床に
A hole in the floor.
ですか？
The lab had been attacked just last night. That never happened then. During the attack, one of their bullets had left a dark hole in the floor. So what the hell?
Was there a hole there? I don't think so.
ちなみに
By the way, how was yesterday?
The party? It was a lot of fun. I've never had so much fun in my life.
They wouldn't say that if there had been an attack. So they never attempted to kidnap Kagari. What's going on here? This is so different. Which meant that the attack had never taken place. Was no one after Kagari in this world? No, I was too early to assume that. I still didn't know what had happened when she'd gone missing. Until I did, I couldn't say for sure if she was safe. Just like how sometimes Mayuri's death would occur on different days in the Alpha World line, the same might happen a few days later. In fact, it would be better to be cautious.
I hope we all have another party again soon.
その時は
When we do,
僕
I'll
も
make
何
something.
か作るよ。私も
Me too.
私
I'll
も
help.
手伝
They all started happily talking about last night's party. At first glance, it was a peaceful scene. But something sinister might be happening. I just didn't notice. No. I knew something had to be happening. The fact that the world line was changing was proof. Why had it changed anyway? I thought back to the events of that night. First, someone had taken over Amadius. Karisu had called me and asked me for help. The world line had changed right after I'd answered, which meant that the key was Amadius? Did Amadius have something to do with the world line change? And what about the group who'd attacked Kagari? Was it all connected? Maybe I need to find out.
ところで
By the way, Kagari, are you okay on time?
時間だ。
Oh no, break time's over.
休憩
The
時間
owner's gonna get
終わ
mad
っ
at
て
me.
た。
店長
The owner?
ということ
Do you
は
have a job?
バイトして
そうだよ。
That's right. I'm working at the Bronze Workshop downstairs. Wait, I already told you this.
この前言ったじゃん。
そう
I see.
だったか。
In the old world line, Kagari had started working for Tanuji after the attack. That was another difference.
もう
Geez, you're so out of it today, Ocarina. Get a hold of
しっか
yourself.
りしてよ。
すまない。
Sorry. Kagari hopped up and skipped out of the room. Her words and mannerisms were much more childish than they'd been in the last world line.
アルバイ
Work hard, Katie.
ト。は
Okay,
い。それじゃ
bye.
行って。
かがり、
Kagari, let me ask you one more thing before you
もう
go.
一つだけ聞かせてくれ。
I asked one final question to Kagari, who is now giving a crisp salute.
アマデウス、
Does the word
Do you
Amadius mean
know?
anything to you?
何か思い当た
お待てうす。
Amadius?
Kagari seemed to think for a moment.
うんと
Nope,
So-
nothing.
I see. She didn't look like she was lying or being sarcastic. She must really not have known. Do we have Amadius still? I watched her leave the lab, then took out my phone. There was another thing I needed to check. What was happening with Amadius? It's gone. Damn it. I was wondering, why is it gone now? Amadeus. The AI that held Karisu Maxi's personality and memories. And the application which started the program. But the program was gone. Sorry to call you out here.
別に構わない
It's fine.
わ
I just happen to
ち
be
ょうど
nearby.
近くまで来てたから
After seeing the icon missing on my phone, I contacted Maho immediately. My goal, of course, was to see what was going on with Amadeus in this world. I had to find out.
で話って
So, what do you want to talk about?
アマデウスの
It's about Amadeus.
What?
Maho's eyes suddenly went wide. Her reaction surprised me as well. I simply said the word Amadeus. Did they never introduce me to Amadeus in this world line?
あなた
How do you know?
どうして
What do you mean?
どうしてあな
How
た
do you know
が
about
アマデ
Amadeus?
ウスのことを知ってるだって
That program was put on hold last summer after Kreesu's death.
クリスの事
Wait,
件があ
what?
ったあの
凍結
Amadeus was put on hold.
凍結ってことは
You mean the project itself was shut down?
プロジェク
はっきり言ってし
Yeah,
まえば
That's right.
そういうことね
She clenched her fists in anger. It seemed the change in this world line was a big one. Whatever Karisu did in the Alpha world line to change it back to the Beta, it seemingly has some strange effect on Amadeus' existence, where it's now like the project's canned at the moment.
で
Now, answer my question. How did you know about
どうして
Amadeus?
あなたが
Because
そ
should I tell her about the world lines in the tractor field theory?
クリスから聞いたんだよ
Karisu told me that someone at her lab was
大学
doing
の
work
先
on
輩
it.
がそういう
クリスが
Kreesu told you about that?
あの子
I decided that it
あ
wasn't
な
the
た
time
に
to
そ
tell
んな
her.
話までしていたのね
If I tried to explain everything, I'd have to tell her about D-mail and the time machine. Mao didn't seem to know about all that yet. I could imagine what she'd do if she heard the truth. She was yet another of those people who were entranced by the possibilities of science.
なあ
Can you tell me a little more about how the project was shut down? What was the
も
reason?
う少し
何でも
Evidently, there was a
外
complaint
部
from
団
an
体
outside
から
group.
クレームが入っ人の記憶を
Creating
人
an
工知
artificial
能に持た
intelligence
せ
with
る
the
の
human
は
memories is no
人
different from
間の
making a
複
copy
製
of
を
a
作り
human,
出すのと
they
同
say.
じこと
It's something that only God is allowed to do.
神のみに許される所業欧米って
A lot of people in Europe and America like to push their own values on others, especially in delicate matters like these.
特に
理由はそれ
Is that the only reason?
え
Yep,
え少なくとも
at least as far as
私は
I've
そう
heard.
聞いてるわ
The professor and the rest of the team were really mad when they heard the research was being shut down.
教授たちも
Why?
随分怒ってた
Why shut it down, though? The Amadeus program was stopped. Such a strange change to have happened now. Okabe, there's something I want you to tell me. Are you okay with asking me? Yes, I think you can give me good advice. I don't want you expecting too much. What kind of gift do you think a father would enjoy? Your father, huh? I think the darkness within him goes very deep. The darkness? Oh, you know, darkness, black, a black handkerchief? Hey, that would be a good idea. Maybe, yeah. Handkerchief. Great, I'll do that, but why black? I think your dad probably likes black. For real. Yippee! Thank you. Thank you, Okabe. This is a new chibi has been obtained. For real, Suzuha. Great, we have a new chibi to add to the collection. Did that have something to do with the world line change as well? What I wish we could have figured out before we shifted back to the Bay world line is what exactly was it that Karisu, like what message did Karisu send with a D-mail in order to change the past? What was the exact D-mail that she sent that could have changed all this? If we knew that, then maybe we'd have a better chance at figuring out why Amadeus is like canned in this reality. Why is the project canned? Wait. So how did I meet Maho? Yeah, that's also a great question. How the hell did I meet you? We'd originally met at the Amadeus seminar. If that never happened,
どうしたの
What's wrong?
あ
oh, I was just remembering how we met.
その
あ
Oh yeah, that's quite the
あ、あの
coincidence,
時
wasn't
の
it?
こと
I asked a few more
Ah,
questions,
you
taking care
good
not to
and
arouse
bad.
her suspicions, and managed to learn the basic story. Mo really wanted to see the place where Karisu had died. When she finally went to the radio building, she'd run into me. Okay, so it was basically a coincidence that we ran into each other. Now I see why she said it was a coincidence.
I
I hate to say this, but it sounds so unscientific, but I'd like to think that it was karma, and that Kurisu brought the two of us together.
Yeah. Karma, or perhaps another example of attractor field convergence. It had already been decided that Mao and I would meet here in Akihabara. Was there some meaning in that?
Oh right, tell my Rainiers I said hi, and that last night was a lot of fun.
Sure. Evidently, she'd gone to last night's party in this world line, too. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I just realized another thing that might be important to think on. The events of what happened in the Maho ending. In the Maho ending, Leskinen died. He was shot by rays. And if the world line is not going to shift from, like, from beta to alpha, does that mean he's still going to die soon? Just in a different way? Just like how with Mayuri, it didn't matter how many times we made minor shifts to the world line, she would always die. Is it going to happen again like that, but with Dr. Leskinen? And evidently, that's another thing that I've been thinking about. Leskinen's differences in the Maho ending. He didn't seem as evil as he did in the Gehenna ending, or the Mayuri ending. In fact, I'd say he was a victim in the Maho ending. But at the same time, why? He was the in the bad ending and the Mayuri ending, he was like a big problem in all this. And I guarantee you he's still a problem in all of this overall. But why was he acting like... Why was he so much more different in the Maho ending? That's just another mystery to try and figure out.
It's given me some good memories of Japan.
Good memories. You're leaving.
Not immediately, remember what I said? I'm taking over Kurisa's research. I can't stay on vacation in Japan in it forever.
I see. But still, she was only in Japan for another 10 days. I hope nothing would happen during that time. It would. Something would. The mines had been shut down and no longer existed. No longer would I hear Kurisu's voice. After I said goodbye to Maho, what that meant really started to sink in. I could still feel Kurisu's warmth in my chest. Her smell. All the feelings I'd tried to forget were coming back now that I'd seen her. No one will ever be happy in that world line. Everyone will be miserable. That's what she had said. I knew that. That's why I decided to stay here. That didn't mean I could erase the sense of loss I felt. I went back to the lab to get all this together in my head. The cause of the attack in the last world line was Kagari, and there was a good chance that Amadeus was involved in the world line change that took place afterward. But in this world line, the lab had never been attacked. And the Amadeus project had been cancelled while it was still in the research stage. That meant that two major factors in the events that had occurred so far no longer existed. Yeah. So, what's gonna happen with World War III then? World War III was a major reason... some of the major factors in World War III's existence was Kagari and Amadeus. But both those problems are seemingly solved, for some reason. But considering we're still in the beta world line, I can't imagine that World War III is just not going to happen now. The problem is, what's going to change to cause it to happen now? If they were gone, maybe there was no need to worry too much. Don't say that, but even so, there's still a tiny alarm going off in the back of my mind. Something bad's about to happen. Why had Amadeus been shut down? What happened to Kagari's missing memories? If nothing else, I might need to learn the answers to those two questions. I thought for a while, then took out my phone and booted up the Rhine application. I'm scared. Why are we as Kagari? That was a cute little room. Kagari Shina felt happier and more fulfilled than the people around her thought she was. Her memories were missing. All she had now were memories of when she was young. She'd gone to the past when she was 10, and then gotten separated from Suzuha. Her memories afterward were told blank, with the exception of the last few weeks. Her oldest memories after her childhood were of the ceiling she saw when she woke up. It was the ceiling of an old temple, with stains here and there that looked like faces. She remembered being a little scared. Shortly after that, she was given to Yanabayashi Shrine.
Kagari, would you like some tea? Oh, yeah. Thanks, Luca. Okay, I'll put some on.
That was when she met Luca Urushibara. At the time, she hadn't realized that she already knew him. Luca Urushibara was a good friend of her adopted mother, Mayuri Shina. He played with her a lot when they were kids. When she was younger, she'd always thought he was a woman. To Kagari's young eyes, he'd been a strong, grown-up woman. At the end, she'd always wondered why Suzuha had called him Big Brother Luca.
Here you are. Thank you.
But the Luca in front of her now was far younger than the one she had known. He looked like a very pretty girl, and not nearly as strong. So she'd only realized that he was the Luca Urushibara she knew after meeting her mother.
This tea tastes a little different. It's rosemary tea. It's supposed to help you concentrate and improve your memory. I had Ferris give me some.
Improving her memory and finding lost memories seemed like totally different things to her, but she didn't say so. Just the thought made her very happy. Luca, Mama, Mayuri, and the rest of Okabe's friends were all trying to help her get her memories back. It would probably make the most people nervous not having their memories. It would be hard not knowing what you'd experienced. But to be honest, Kagari didn't think she needed to remember. Sometimes it seemed like a memory was about to come back. Each time her mind would roar with a sense of fear and anxiety.
Was it not very good?
Luca saw that she'd only taken a sip and stopped, and he seemed to worry.
Oh no, that's not true. It's good. I was just thinking. Thinking? Yep, but it's nothing.
She took a sip of the tea, hoping to change the subject.
Anyway, Luca, are you really a boy?
Everyone else said he was, but still, it just didn't seem right to her.
I am. Yeah. You really look more like a girl, though. I don't know what to say to that. I know. Hey, why don't we take a bath tomorrow?
Huh?
What? Then I'll know if you're really a boy or not.
Excuse you?
No, we can't. Why not? Because I can't take a bath with a girl. Didn't you take baths with your sister? Yes, but that was when I was little.
I need to take a drink of water. I just about spilled water everywhere. Gosh dang it.
Kagari. Sorry. It was a joke. You're so cute, I felt like I had to tease you. But if you respond that way, it means you really are a boy. That's what I've been saying.
Even when he was upset, he still looked like a girl, she thought. As you can see, there are dozens of different dishes available, and they're all you can eat. TV screen had been showing all kinds of delicious food.
Wow.
The sight of it almost moved her to tears.
This is so wonderful. It's so different than the world I know. Is it? What's the future like? Do you want to know?
Luca looked a little uncertain. And even though she'd asked, Kagari wasn't certain she should tell him. The future she knew was filled with despair. Everyone struggled desperately to stay alive, hoping that tomorrow would somehow be better. If they knew there was no hope, how would they survive?
I don't think I do.
Kagari sighed in relief.
You're better off that way. The future can be changed. The future can be changed? Yeah,
ママがね
that's what
そう言
Mom
ってた
said. She said it could be
きっと
changed.
変えられる
She said
変え
he'd
てくれる
change it.
変えて
He'd change it.
くれる
That's what Myria had always told Kagari. That was her tiny light of hope.
ね
What was
なん
it?
だっけな
Steins?
シュ
What?
タインシュタインズゲー
Steins
ト
Gate?
そう
Yes,
それ
that's it. Molly
それ
said she knew it
は
was
必ず
real.
あるって言いながら
But I don't really know what it is.
それが何なのか私もよくわからないんだけど
Steins Gate, to be honest. Kagari didn't know exactly what that meant. But each time Myri said it, Kagari had felt warmth within her heart. Someone would come to lead them to Steins Gate. When she thought about that, it gave her hope.
さて
And now for our next news report. Did you know that memory restoration technology is being studied around the globe? Today we have a special report on an American university that's at the cutting edge of this research. The news show had finished its food report and had already switched to another topic. Now it was showing a college campus covered in greenery. It was a wide open space that clearly wasn't Japanese. The second she saw it, she suddenly felt dizzy. This is Victor Condria University. It may seem like just another college campus, but there's a major project going on here right now. The discussion became more technical. It was far beyond what Kagari, who had only her memories as a child, could understand. But
チャンネル
Should I
変えましょう
change the
か
channel?
待
Oh,
って
wait.
Kagari stopped him before he could get to the remote.
かがりさん
Kagari, do you
わかるんですか
understand this?
うん
Yeah, they were talking about how the brain works and whether you could make
記
false
憶を
memories.
捏造することへ
Wow,
え
that's
すごい
amazing.
ですね
It was too complicated for me.
僕には難しくて何が何だか
She suddenly found herself easily understanding what was being said. Why? How? How could she understand this?
そう
Yeah,
そんなに
it's not that
難しい話
complicated.
じゃないよ記憶は
Memories are
脳の
controlled by a
中
part of the
の
brain
海
called the
っていう
hippocampus,
ところが
and there's a
司って
special
る
part
ん
of the
だけど
hippocampus called the
その中に
fascia
地上海
dentata.
って呼ばれるところがあるのね
She was surprised at what she was saying, but the words kept coming anyway. What?
そこで行わ
When
れ
new
る
nerve cells are
神経
instructed there,
細胞の生
they
産
cause
が
existing neurological
既存
pathways to
の
reorganize.
神経回路の
That's what
再
makes you
編を
forget
引き起こ
things.
すのでこの
And so when
研
the
究チー
study
ムが
team did
マウス
experiments on
実験
mice,
をしてみ
they
た
saw
ら
false memories
記
created.
憶の捏造あほら
Oh
あの
look,
奥の
that
部
room
屋
in the back.
あ
That's
そ
where
こ
they
で
do the
マウ
mice
ス実験
experiments
な
and
んか
stuff.
してるのあの
Kagari, are you familiar
も
with
しか
this
してこの
university?
大学
Huh?
She suddenly realized that Luca was looking confused.
だって
I mean, you seem to know a lot about it.
詳しそうな口ぶりでしたし
I don't like this. The TV was showing something that looked like a lab. The camera went toward the back of the room. A white door was opened that led to the next room. After seeing the research, the results of these experiments on mice formed here, the research team.
ううん知らない
No, I don't.
でも
But
今
just know,
That's right. She wasn't familiar with it. She didn't know anything about any place like this. But
わからない
I don't
知らない
know. I don't know,
け
but
どなんでだろう
for some reason it suddenly feels like I do.
知ってるような気がしたの
there was suddenly a piercing pain in the back of her head. Don't. It felt like the beginning of something terrifying. She suddenly felt very nervous. I don't like this. Is it going to return her back to her voice of God?
Listen, I'm not doing it because you asked me to. Just don't forget that.
感謝します
Thank you. This morning I got into Tanuji and asked him to protect Kagari if something happened. That meant I had to talk to him about his roles around her again. And I had to tell him that Kagari was caught up in something big too. But since it was the second time I had that conversation, I was able to make it go a little smoother. That was only relative to the first time though. I never wanted to ask him for anything like this ever again.
So, Okabe, what the hell are you people involved in?
それは
I stopped myself.
You can't say, huh? You asked me for a favor, but you can't say anything.
すみません
I'm sorry.
That's good enough, though. That's good, though.
What?
Information is your final trump card. If you had just come out and told me, I would have called this whole thing off. Anyway, just be careful.
Thank you, sir.
I get it. Don't be so polite. It makes it so damn hard to deal with you.
About him once more anyway, and left the Bronze Tube workshop. I managed to get Tanuji's help. And this morning, I got another person on my side as well. Moeka Kiryu. I see. She was a lot easier than Tanuji. I checked with Daru last night and found that just like in the old world line, we'd hired her to find out more about Kagari. All I had to do was ask her to keep looking into what Kagari had been doing before she'd come to this town. Now I'd done everything I could in case something happened. All that was left was to pray that nothing did. I got back to the lab where Lukaku was waiting. He had a very serious look on his face, and he said he needed to talk to me.
There's something bothering me about Kagari's memories.
Kagari's memories?
Yeah, but I don't know if it will help bring them back.
That's fine. If something's bothering you, just tell me.
Okay.
Lucas started to fidget and rub his knees together. Then he looked up at me and slowly opened his mouth.
Last night, they were doing a special on memory research on TV. It was about an American university. When Kagari saw it, she acted like she recognized the school.
An American college? Which one?
It had a really complicated name. I think it was Victor Condor?
Victor Condor University.
Oh, that's right. That's the place.
Victor Condor University. That was where Kurisu had studied. Kagari knew Victor Condria. If that was true, then how? The most obvious possibility was that she went there too. But how would a kid who went missing in Japan go to an American school? And one of the best at that. Of course, it wasn't impossible, but...
What do you think? Is this a clue?
I can't say anything just based off that, but...
I see.
Lukaku's shoulders slumped in disappointment. I think that's still very important, though. Kagari is such an anomaly, really. But that doesn't mean it's not a clue.
What? Then...
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
What does she want to talk to me about?
The best way to find out was to talk to her directly. Kagari was just about to start work, and she seemed put off by the fact that I'd suddenly asked her to speak. Can you wait just a second? I've got another person to join us.
Another person?
I didn't know a lot about Victor Condria myself. I could ask Kagari what she knew about the school, but I couldn't tell if her information was accurate or not. There was a better person she could ask. Maho? Someone who should be here any minute. Yay!
Excuse me.
Best way to find out about the school was to ask someone who actually went there. In fact, Maho was to this day a part of their brain science lab.
Oh, Maho. Hello. Hi, how have you been?
I still didn't know that Kagari was from the future. I'd have to keep her from finding out.
You know, she really does look like Kurisu.
Yes, she does. Mao stared at Kagari, then whispered so that only I could hear. It made sense. I've been surprised myself. I started by explaining to Maho why I'd brought her here. Whoops.
So what? You think she might have gone to my school? Wait a sec. I don't know anything about this Victor Condra what's-its-place. Victor Condra University. See? I didn't even remember the name.
But yesterday you acted like you recognized it, right, Lukaku?
Yeah. You said they did mice experiments in the back room. And then after that they actually showed the experiments in that room.
Do you remember that, Kagari?
I don't.
I couldn't imagine Lukaku would lie or that there would be any point to him doing so. The same was true for Kagari, too. I don't understand.
Urashibara, do you remember where that lab was? I don't know the details, but they said they were doing research on memories in the brain. Which means it might have been the brain science lab.
The
brain science lab. That was where...
That's where I work.
And also where Carissa worked too.
それじゃあ
Then Kagari may have met you in Karisu?
It's just a possibility. There's more than one place that researches brain science. And it's not just for grad students where I work. There are a lot of regular scientists too. Even I haven't met everyone at the lab. But if I saw another Japanese person there, I'm sure I'd remember that.
Which means that she didn't remember it. Which meant she probably hadn't met her. Lukaku, was there anything else about Kagari that you've noticed?
Kagari sometimes knows about things that are really complicated. Hey, I know some complicated things.
Kagari pouted. That was one expression that was totally different than Karisu's.
For example, roses and Russian.
Those were just words that were complicated to write in Japanese.
They were doing a special on fake memories last night, and you seemed like you knew a lot about it. Fake memories, huh? Yeah, one of the teams is working on that. We went to talk to them one time.
Kagari, can you talk about that now?
I don't really know. Did I really talk about that stuff? You did.
Was she in some kind of trance then? Ooh, owie. She put her hand between her eyebrows and thought. She really didn't remember, it seemed. Has this happened a lot before?
Not that much until recently. It suddenly started happening over the last few days.
I didn't know how Kagari could know things about Victorchondria. But it clearly had something to do with her missing memories. If I followed the trail a little longer, I might learn some clues. It's possible I might be able to bring back her memories. Suddenly, she started to moan in pain.
Kagari, what's wrong? My head kind of... It hurts.
Lukaku was looking at her face, worried.
Yeah, just a bit.
Want to lie down a little?
I'm fine.
Maybe this is all too sudden.
That's right, we may have put too much stress on her.
Mo was looking worried too.
Are you really okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you, Senpai. I hope so.
The conversation was so natural that Mao and I almost missed it. You called her senpai. Hey, did she just...
Yeah, she called me Senpai.
Yep, I noticed that. I thought it was weird.
Huh?
Kagari, you just called Hyajo senpai, right?
No way. I didn't... No, you definitely did. Urushibara, you heard it too, right? Yes.
Senpai, the Japanese word used to address an older classmate or colleague. I just learned that Maho and Kagari hadn't met at Victorchondria. Does that mean it was just a mistake? The sound of footsteps coming up the stairs distracted me. Oh god, not again. They're so heavy. There's no need to wonder who it was. Oh, hey. Hey.
Hello.
Oh, you're Mo-tan.
Don't call me that.
Do I have enough? 1, 2, 3... He ignored Miles' complaint and started to count the number of people in the room. There was some kind of paper bag in his hands. Okay, I've got enough. Enough for what? You know they opened a new Adol in front of the station. They're selling some good-looking pudding. I thought it might be nice to eat, so I bought enough for everyone. He put down the bag, opened the box, and started putting the pudding cups on the table. Daru, do it later. Why do you all look so upset? Is it that rare for me to buy something for everybody? Well, I guess it is, but I got some extra work in my job, you see. Not only am I talented, I'm also kind-hearted and I get paid. Feel free to fall in love, ladies. Huh? He turned the bag over and started shaking it.
スプーンが一
I'm
人
missing
分
a
足りない
spoon. I bet the staff there
さ
forgot
て
to put
は
one
店
in.
員のお姉さん入れ忘れたな
使ってないスプー
I
ン
think there's a clean spoon in the
確
sink.
か長い私
I've got my
マイ
own
スプー
spoon
ン
I
持っ
always
てる
use.
から
Kakago stood up to get a spoon from the sink, then suddenly stopped. He looked at Kagari with a confused expression.
かがりさん
Kagari,
マイ
do you
スプ
own a
ーンなんて
spoon? Huh?
What?
かがりさんが持って
I
たのっ
thought
て
all you had with you was the Upa keychain,
ウーパ
right?
のキーホルダーだあれ
Huh?
そう
That's right,
だよ
isn't
ね
it? Strange.
おかしい
Why
な
did I say I had
なんで
one?
私持ってるなんて
What the hell's going on with you? Her own spoon. Wait. Wait, that's just like... I heard someone say that before. That's what Kurisu said. Not many people carried their own spoons around. It was common in Japan to carry around your own personal set of chopsticks lately, but not spoons. But I knew. I had known someone who carried around her own spoon. It was... Kurisu Makise. Why... Wait. It's Kurisu Makise's memories. Wait. Senpai, that's something that Kurisu probably would have called a Mao. The spoon thing, yeah, that's something Kurisu said as well. Knowing everything about Victor Condria. Why do you have Kurisu's memories then? These have to be Kurisu's memories. So, what's going on here? Just a moment ago, she called Maho Senpai. Did Kagari know Kurisu after all?
なあ
Hey, Hyajo, how many people called you Senpai in America?
一人だけよ
Just one.
先輩とか後
The
輩と
Japanese
か
were in a Japanese
そ
concept
ういう
after
呼
all.
び方とか関係は
There's no need to
日
even
本
ask who
独
it
特のも
was.
のだから私を
The
先
only one
輩
who
と
called
呼
me
んでたの
senpai
はクリスだけ
was Kurisu.
クリス
Kurisu.
You have some connection to Kurisu, Kagari. I don't know what, though.
かがり
Kagari, do you know a girl named
Kiwa.
Kurisu Makise?
マキセ
クリス
Kurisu.
マキセ
Kurisu
クリス
Makise.
Did she know her, and was she imitating her? But why does she need to do that?
マキセクリス
Kurisu Makise.
Kagari seemed to be desperately searching her memories, but it didn't seem to be working. There's a sweat on her forehead. Her headache might still be bothering her.
無理はしなくていい
Don't force yourself. There's no need to
急いで
remember
思い出す
immediately.
必要
うん
No,
このままに
Feels
し
like-
とくのも
feels creepy
なん
leaving
だ
it
か
like
気持
this.
ち悪い 何か思い
Do
出
you
せ
feel
そう
like
な
you
ん
can
で
remember
すか
something?
わかんない
I don't know. Try saying
わかん
something
ない
out,
から
Green.
一丁
Huh?
一体何が
What's going
何
on
なの
here? The fact that Kagari responded this strongly to Kurisu's name meant that there had to be some relationship. What could there possibly be? The question was this: what had Kagari been doing ever since she separated from Suzuha in 1998? If she never met Maho, did she ever meet Kurisu? Maybe she became friends with Kurisu and learned a lot about her, and then she got Kurisu's stories mixed up with her own memories. Or I remembered the machine that Kurisu had developed in the Alpha World line and came up with a certain hypothesis. Is it somehow possible that Kurisu's memories are going to Kagari somehow? I quickly told myself that it was impossible. My eyes met Maho's. She nodded.
かがり
Okay, Kagari.
じゃあ
Let me ask you some
いく
questions.
つか質問させてくれ
For now, I wanted to learn how much Kagari knew about Kurisu.
君の父親は
Where's your father?
どこにいる
Daddy,
パ
Daddy died when I was a kid.
パ子供の
If her
頃
memories were mixed with Kurisu's, she wouldn't say that. Those were Kagari's memories. She said she remembered everything from before she was 10 years old. I'm trying to think, what's going on here? I have a weird idea, but at the same time, there's no way it could be what I'm thinking. Because there's too much... well, then again... Though it could be something so simple and so obvious, maybe. The sprites. The sprites. I'll say what I'm thinking. It's the sprites that I'm thinking of. When we went to the Alpha World line, when we went to the Alpha World line and we saw Krisu, her sprite was of the original game, right? Now, when we went back to the... Now, now that sprite, though, is different from some of the sprites we see of her in this game. There's the sprite of Krisu in the lab. And she has, like, the coat, and it's like an updated look of Karisu's. Is there any chance that Kagari and Karisu could have swapped places at some point? I don't know. If she knows memories of Karisu's... Is there any possibility that Kagari could have taken Karisu's place at Victorchondria? They look similar enough to where I think it wouldn't be impossible. She only lost her memories after she'd separated from Sua in 1998. I'd have to go a little deeper. Then what does the word Curry Gohan mean to you?
Curry Gohan?
Curry Gohan? What are you talking about?
Answer me, please, Kagari.
Curry Gohan?
Kamehame.
You know it! You know it! Everyone else seemed confused. But I felt as if my heart was about to stop. You know about the ad channel thing. That's only something Karisu could have known. How could she know? Kurigohan and Kamehameha was Karisu's ad channel handle. Not only did she keep that a secret, she almost never let anyone know that she posted an ad channel. She never would have told anyone. How could Kagari know something that only Karisu would know? More sweat was pouring down Kagari's forehead. Luca offered her a handkerchief, worried. Kagari nodded and took it. Kagari, can you tell me how many major theories of time travel there are? Mahalo looks like she wanted to say something, but I motioned for her to stay quiet. 11. What the hell's going on here? You have Karisu's memories. Kagari spoke clearly, as if the answer was the most obvious thing in the world. What the hell's going on? 11 in total. Wait, is that right? I hadn't expected much when I asked the question. I certainly hadn't expected that. The terrifying possibility I'd thought of earlier was becoming more and more real. Is it really possible? Could Karisu's memories have gone into Kagari somehow? How? How would they even make sense? It was impossible. It had to be. The more I tried to convince myself, the more my fears grew. Can you tell me what these 11 theories are? Neuron star theory, and then black hole theory, lightspeed theory, tachyon theory, wormhole theory, exotic matter theory. Kagari was counting with her fingers and speaking with very little hesitation. Cosmic string theory, quantum gravity theory, cesium laser theory, elementary particle ring and laser theory, and lastly, direct antiparticle theory. Those are all correct. Mao's voice was hoarse. How do you know this? Tell me, Okabe. How do I know all this? Kagari looked like she was about to cry a little. This doesn't make sense. How the hell? Can I ask you one more thing? Could you use those theories to build a time machine? I don't think so. What the hell's going on? Oh, but even if you couldn't use these 11 theories, science may invent a new theory that works someday. Why do you think so? Why? That's because... I don't know. Then let me ask you another question. How did you arrive at that conclusion?
その考え方に行き着いたのはなぜだ？
Sorry, I'm doing something real quick. Okay, sorry.
わかんない
I don't know.
けど、
Just somehow knew.
なんとなく知ってた
She knew,
ような
huh? That meant that knowledge existed inside of her. Why did she have that knowledge? Had she been to Victor Condria at some time in the past and met Karisu there? Maybe they were close friends. So close that Karisu would share her at-channel nickname, which she never told anyone. And then perhaps she mistook what she'd heard from Karisu for her own memories? That was the most obvious possibility. But that would go against what Karisu had said. Karisu said she didn't really have any close friends in America. She seemed to have developed a solid relationship with Maho at work, but the dark fear in my mind kept growing.
なあ、ヒヤジョさん。
Hey, Yajo, remember how you said Amadeus was put on
アマ
hold?
デウスはアップロードされていた
Does that
クリスの
uploaded
記
memory
憶デー
data
タ
for
って
Karisu still exist?
まだ存在する。
Huh?
ええ
Yeah,
多分
probably. I don't think it was
破棄はされてい
erased.
ないはずだけど、
それって
How many people could access that?
どれだけの人間が
ごく限られ
Very
た人
few.
間だけ
We
よ。
never really announced it
どこにも公
anywhere.
表はして、私やレスキネン教授、
Myself, Dr. Leskinen, a few of the other assistants, and then Karisu.
ちなみに
Another question. Would it be possible to transfer that memory data to a human brain?
人間の
Huh?
In the other world line, Maho herself, or Dr. Leskinen to be precise, had said something about that at the ATF seminar. And I had experienced it for myself. Through a machine that digitized human memories, sent them through time, and then back to the same person's brain. It didn't exist in this world line. I'd once lived in a world line where it was developed in this very room. I'd used it far more times than I'd ever wanted to. And because of that experience, I came up with an idea. Terrifying idea. Another way to explain what was happening to Gagari now. Could Karisu have time leaped into Kagari? That was something that we never actually got to see a possibility of happening. That's something we never actually got to see happening in the Alpha World line in the first game. There was always mentioned a risk that something bad could happen if a person who time leaps ends up having their, like, the way that time leaping works is like it had like a, like it would send like a phone call to the person, to that person in the past, and then they'd put the phone up there, they'd answer it, and then all of it would get sent into their brain. But the problem was there was always a chance that someone other than the person whose memories were being sent back could answer the phone. AKA, you could have someone else's memories is being sent back into somebody else's body. That never actually happened in the first game. But is that what's happening now? Is it possible that Karisu could have tried time leaping and that somehow Kagari answered? And has resulted in her having her memories?
What are you getting at?
Karisu was the one who had her own personal spoon. She was the only one who called you senpai at school. Kurigon and Kamehameha was Karisu's handle on that channel. I'm the only one who knew about it besides her. Karisu would know about the lab at Victor Condria. She would know about the mouse experiments. She would know about the 11 theories of time travel.
オカリンさん、
Ocarine, what do you mean?
どういうこと？何が言い
What are you
たい？
trying to say?
This is my idea. Looked around the room at everyone, then back at Kagari. Kagari, it's possible that you may have Karisu Makise's memories inside of you.
マキセ・クリスの記憶が移植されているかもしれない。
Kagari has Karisu Makise's memories?
マキセ・クリスの記憶が入ってる。
Suzuha didn't seem as surprised as I expected. Did you kind of expect this yourself, Suzuha? Mao and I asked her some more questions after that. About Victor Condria. About her research. Her answers were all over the place. Some things she knew and some things she didn't. Some of the things she knew were things that only Maho and Karisu would have known. So how? Could the Karisu that we met earlier in the Alpha World line have done a time leap to try and send their memories back, but somehow reached Kagari instead? In the end, instead of being overturned, my hypothesis came out even stronger. All the questions seemed to tire Kagari out, and with Tanuji's permission, Lukaku took her home. Mao completely refused to accept what I was saying, but I did say before she left that she'd look into before she left that she'd look into whether it was possible to transfer Marius' memory data into a human brain. And that night, I explained the situation to Suzuha.
So you mean Kagari has two personalities?
Yeah.
No, that's not it. The proper word for multiple personalities is dissociative identity disorder. That's when additional personalities are created within the person themselves. It's like you're upset or uneasy about who you are, so you make another personality within yourself. Once in a while, there would be a case where someone would take the personality of the man or the woman they admired, but usually it was a completely original one. But that's not what's going on in Kagari's case. She doesn't have her personality. What she's got is, quite literally, only Karisu's memories. It's possible that Karisu's memories are mixed in with her own. What's going on? Kagari's memories weren't overwritten. She still had them. So they had mixed together. I see. The 2036 technology, that's certainly possible. Then since Kagari's a time traveler from that year, it's a possibility? But she has her memories from when she was 10, right? If they put someone else's memories in her head, then she should remember that, right?
I think I remember her saying once in a while back then that she heard the voice of God.
That's the problem. Where's that voice? That voice is gone. Now, this obviously should be a good thing, because that's Leskinen's. We know now that that's Leskinen's voice. The future Leskinen's voice that's telling her to basically become the monster and make sure Leskinen gets to keep the future where he's, like, able to start World War III. So it should be a good thing that that voice is gone, but the problem is, what if it comes back? It could come back at any moment. We don't know definitively if it's gone. It could just be suppressed for some reason right now because of her forgetting over time. But what if it came back at the worst possible moment? It could ruin everything. Hallucination. It's possible that that's a product of Karisu's memories leaking out. Yeah. But the future wasn't as peaceful as this era. There weren't enough people and there weren't enough supplies. Even if they did have a memory transfer technology, it would have been a military secret. I can't imagine them using it on a civilian, especially a kid. Kagari was a war orphan. There's no chance it was used to cure her PTSD. That wouldn't explain why they'd want to transfer someone else's memories into her. Fair, I guess. That's right. So what the hell? Which means it's more likely that it was done during the time when she had no memories, between 1998 and now. Even if it's possible in 2036, is it possible right now? Technically speaking, yes. But you'd have to make the phone wave first. That's where another problem lies. You would have to make another piece of a technology. We know that it could be made in this time. We made it in the Alpha World line by this time. The problem is it made? And who made it? And who used it? Karisu could do it. She'd done it all by herself to make the time leap machine, after all.
So Karisu Maxi transferred her own memories to Kagari?
I feel like it all has to come back to that Alpha World line. Again, I wish I could know what it was, the message that... What was the D-mail that she sent, or the message that she sent that was used in order to send us back to the Beta World line? And did she possibly, at the same time, maybe even use a time leap while sending a D-mail? Is that even possible? Can a D-mail and a time leap occur at the same time? That's never actually something that we were given a chance to experiment with, now I think about it. But it might be too much stuff, so probably not.
Why would she do that? It's like something a mad scientist would do.
There was no way. It was impossible. It had to be. And there weren't many people as smart as Karisumaki say. If she didn't do it, I couldn't imagine anyone else would.
So.
That's right. I'm getting ahead of myself. I agree.
突飛な発想すぎるよな。
I might have been getting too attached to my own
俺だっ
idea.
てそう思う。でも、
But there's no doubt that Kagari knows things that only Karisu could know.
かがりが知って、
Maybe like Maki says, Makisei's soul became a ghost and possessed her?
お前。
Don't even think of saying that around Hiajo. She'll laugh at your
ヒヤジョ
face.
さんの前ででもひろ
You got that right. In the end, I realized that there was nothing I could do for Kagari but watch for a while and see how things went. We were just students without any kind of specialized knowledge. No matter how much we debated or what ideas we came up with, we wouldn't be able to figure out the answer that easily.
そういえばダル、
Come to think of it, Daru,
Yuki-san
what's Yuki up to?
She's busy with work every day, looks like.
彼女は
What does she do again?
何のバイトをして、
Works at a cake bakery, I heard. She says it's really good, and we should go check it out.
That's right, but it's a little far away, isn't it?
That's why she'd be happy if you went, right? Get a grip, Dad.
And of course, Yuki. That's another thing we have to think about. Yuki is also another anomaly in this whole thing. Because Yuki's the one in the... The Yuki here is the one that's actually in the helmet. We know that because of the damage she sustained to her arm, right? During the attack. Who is this other Yuki? In the bad ending, in the Mayuri ending, I'm pretty sure in the Mayuri ending, when we took off the biker helmet, it was Yuki underneath. But that Yuki said that the real Yuki was somewhere else. But that Yuki also acted like Kagari. So, who the hell was it that we actually unmasked? Was it Yuki? Was it Kagari who did plastic surgery to look like Yuki? But that also wouldn't make sense then, because what the hell's this other Kagari here then? And we know that this Kagari and that other biker suit person are completely different people, because that biker suit woman came to steal Kagari. But she acts like Kagari as well, so why are there two Kagaris? What's going on? That's the problem. It feels like there's two Kagaris running around. One that actually seems like the insane one that was manipulated by Dr. Leskinen in the future, and then this other one that seems to now have Karisu Makise's memories. It feels like there are two different Kagaris, but that shouldn't be possible, right? Unless something strange has happened with the time leaping and all that, with time traveling. Unless some sort of anomaly has occurred where it's allowed two Kagaris of completely different types to exist. Unless I'm completely wrong, maybe they're not both Kagari at all. But again, it feels like there's two different Kagaris running around. Oh right, my bad. Wait, Ocarine, why are you asking anyway?
いや、
Oh, no reason. I was
ちょっ
just
と気
curious.
になってな。
That girl in the motorcycle suit. Could that have been Yuki Amane? In the Mayuri ending, the Yuki in the biker suit said that the real Yuki is like traveling abroad and that she loved Daru when they'd meet. So what the hell's going on? I still hadn't convinced myself it wasn't her. If it was, she may be involved in some way with what was happening to Kagari. That attack only took place in another world line. That's right, that's also true, I didn't even think of that. The clue that we had that Yuki was like the woman in the biker suit was the fact that her arm was injured in the same way as the biker suit woman. But that doesn't exist anymore. That injury doesn't exist. We can't prove it with that. What the hell? It hadn't happened in this one, so I had no way to tell.
もし、
If there was something else, is there anything else that could clue us in to the existence? Is there something going on with Mom?
いや、
No, it's nothing.
なんでもない。
I still don't have any proof. I'd have to just keep an eye on her. My priority right now is Kagari. What had happened during the time when she lost her memories. If I could find that out, I might be able to understand what was about to happen to us. Yep, it's the next day.
Okay, I'm gonna get started. Ready? Yes.
Mao came to the lab again the next day. She was there to look at Kagari's memories. Kagari had volunteered to work with her. As of yesterday, my hypothesis was still just a hypothesis. And anytime she saw a hypothesis, she wanted to test it. Maybe that's just how scientists were.
First, can you look at this?
Mao held up a cell phone. There was a picture displayed on its screen. It was just a corridor with white walls and clean white floors, and two people wearing white lab coats were walking down it.
You know where this is? School? Which school? Victor Condria University. Do you know who this is in front? Tony Brown. His nickname is JB because he does this weird little dance when he gets excited. And who's the girl?
Oops.
I don't know.
どうだ
Well,
she's definitely famous among us scientists. Krisa would definitely know her.
仮にカガリが
it looks like even if Kagari does have Krisa's memories, she can't recall them all
完全に全てを思い
perfectly.
出せているわけじゃないみたいだ
That's how it seemed yesterday too.
記憶として呼び起こさ
Maybe
れる
there's some things she can remember and other things she
そうじゃ
can't.
ないものがあるんじゃない
That doesn't mean we can say for sure that these are Krisa's memories yet.
There might be an easy way, I just realized. I just realized a way that could probably very easily tell us if she has Krisa's memories or not. Can we get that laptop? If memory serves in the Maho ending, Krisu said that at the very end of the Maho ending, during the brief moments left of Amadeus Kurisu, where it seemed like the real Kurisu was talking through Amadeus, Kurisu mentioned that it was like the Mozart song that was the password to her computer, to her laptop.
Anyone could find out about these about these two without little research. Kari, can I ask you some more questions? Okay. Last winter, Krisa and I went to see a movie.
ヒアジョーさんと
You and Krisa did?
Is that surprising? Even we need a break sometimes. Normally all we do is work.
It was surprising, actually. I hadn't thought they'd interacted outside of work.
I was hitting a little wall in my research, so she took me to eat out. She said she just happened to have 2 tickets.
That's like how a man asks a girl out on a date. She never was any good with that stuff.
Do you know what the title of the movie was? Bob Weir's His and Her Foreboding?
Bingo, isn't it? Mal gulped. What's going on? That must have been the right answer.
それって
Is that a new
最
movie?
近の映画か
I've never heard of it.
聞いた
It's 20 years old. This was a revival showing.
And Gary had guessed it. She'd known the title of a movie that Kurisu and Maho had gone to see together in private. And since it wasn't a major worldwide release, it wasn't something you could get with a lucky guess.
But somebody could have witnessed it.
だが
Sure, but how would they know you were going to ask that
そん
question?
な質問カガリがそのた
Are
め
you
に
saying she memorized every
細
tiny
か
bit
い
of
情報
information
ま
you
で
could possibly
全て
ask
暗
about?
記したとでも
It would be impossible, and she didn't have a reason to bother anyway.
It's not like I don't know that.
I could tell from the pain expression on her face that Ma was struggling with something. And I was starting to realize what it was. She didn't want to admit it. She didn't want to admit it was possible. It was winter, but Kakari's forehead was dripping with sweat again. Going through her confused memories may have been putting a lot of stress on her.
これぐらいにしよ
That's enough. This looks like it's harder on Kagari.
Wait, just let me ask one more question. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Kagari nodded and motioned for her to go ahead.
What was your greatest treasure when you were a kid? When I was a kid. Even after you moved to America, you always kept it in your room. A stuffed dolphin. Dad brought bought it for me when we went to the aquarium.
Miles sighed and sunk into the sofa.
合ってるのか
Is she right?
Yep. Kreesu's mom told me about it on the phone last night. The only people who knew about that were Kreesu and her parents.
それじゃあ
Then, I hate to admit, but this hypothesis of yours, I can't rule it out.
そうか
I see.
What's going to happen to me?
I didn't have an answer. I didn't even know how this had happened in the first place. The only possibility I could think of was...
Kagari, sorry to make you go through all this. Get some rest.
Miles stood up with a serious expression on her face.
帰るのか
You're leaving.
Yeah, there's still some things I can check on my own. Okay, see you later.
Okay. Mal got up and went for the door without bothering to look back. She seemed to be silently shutting out the entire world. All we could do was watch her go. Mao Yajo stared at her computer monitor in a daze. The rest of the world was still feeling the afterglow of New Year's excitement. The last time she'd come to Japan, it was still in the heat of summer. She'd used her vacation days to come then. Her coworker, Kurisu Makise, had suddenly died, and she wanted to see the place where she was murdered. Mao's feelings for Kurisu Makise were complicated. Until Kurisu had come to her lab, Mao had thought herself a genius. She graduated high school after skipping grades, and joined a university lab while still in her teens. It was understandable that she'd feel that way. Everyone else said that she was a genius too. But her pride was shattered into tiny little pieces by the arrival of Kurisu Makise. Kurisu Makise was the real thing. Mao didn't even come close to her. She realized that she could never be as smart as Kurisu. And she realized that she didn't want to be beaten by her anyway. It would have been so much easier if she could have hated her. It would have been so much easier to hate Kurisu. But Kurisu Makise wouldn't even allow her that much. She was a dedicated scientist, and that dedication carried over to her treatment of Maho too.
Mao, I think your research has the potential to change the world. If there's anything I can do to help, I will. Just say the word.
Someday, she swore, she'd surpass her. Someday, she swore, she'd make Kurisu say that she was the smarter one. But now that would never happen. Kurisu Makise went away on a trip and never came back. Ma had been told that she'd been attacked by a robber and killed. But it didn't seem real. It felt like she'd come back to the lab any day now and start arguing with her and the professors with that same self-satisfied smirk on her face. Until then, Ma would work on the Amadeus project so that when Kurisu came back, she would be amazed. Amadeus. An artificial intelligence that could be loaded with an individual's memories. It was possible to digitize memories by analyzing the nerve signals relating to the memory stored in the temporal lobe. It had been Kurisu, of course, who'd proved it. And then Mao and her team had turned that proof into usable technology. By the time Kurisu got back, she would have it all ready for the next level. She'd show it to Kurisu and astonish her. But even that hope didn't last long. She was suddenly told that the project was cancelled. Of course, she couldn't accept it. But no matter what she said, no matter how many times she argued with the professor, she couldn't get the cancellation overturned. Amadeus went to sleep at the bottom of the lab server, along with Kurisu Makise's digitized memories. Kurisu Makise's memories. Now they were in the head of another girl. How had that happened? There was only one possibility, if it was possible at all. Just like Rintaro Okabe had said. You. It would have to be you. You are the only one who could actually do it. Oh. She'd opened the door, and a large man she knew very well came inside. Maho, what's wrong? I thought you were still on your New Year's holiday.
What about you, Professor? What are you doing here on your day off?
Ma's mentor, Dr. Leskinen, was here in Japan for a month-long conference on artificial intelligence. Ma had come with him as an assistant. but the conference didn't take place every day, so they spent the time between sessions at the Japanese office making presentation materials and exchanging emails. In my case, I don't have much to do on my days off. It's no fun staying in a hotel, so I may as well come here and work. And I guess I'm the same. For a researcher, doing research was a hobby. If nothing else, all the scientists Maho knew were like that. Of course, she'd come here today because she'd assumed Dr. Leskinen would feel the same. You have a lot of things to do, don't you? Dating, for instance.
Professor, if you keep that up, I'm going to sue you for sexual harassment.
Oh, anything but that, please. Dr. Leskinen slumped his shoulders in the unique way that Caucasians always overreacted. He seemed intent on bringing Maho and Okabe together. She and Okabe were both friends of Karisu's, so they talked a lot, but there was nothing more to it than that. At least, that's what she thought. Probably.
Alright, in lieu of an apology, can I ask you something?
Anything, if it will keep me out of court.
Alright, what's going on with Amadeus right now?
You should know the answer to that. Right now, there's no plans to continue the project.
I know that. What I'm asking is, what happened to the Amadeus data?
It's saved on the lab server, right?
Nobody else accessed it or took it out?
Leskinen's eyes narrowed, and he slowly shook his head. Maho, I don't know where you got that idea, but Amadeus access is limited to only a few people, and as far as I know, no one else has touched it. If nothing else, I haven't received any reports about it.
Then the same goes for my increases memory data.
Of course.
Then, is it possible there's some other AI project going on that I don't know about?
Of course not. You're the most important member of our research team. We've lost Karisu, and it was a big loss, but I think you're the only one who can take her place. So there's no way I'd start a new project without you knowing, right?
I see.
The compliment felt like a bit too much for her to take at face value. There were a lot of scientists who were always looking to get a leg up on the competition. If someone else got the glory first, everything you worked on until that point would be useless. Even in the same team, there were only a few people you could really trust. But tomorrow, Dr. Leskinen was one of those people. Will that do for an answer?
Yes.
Then may I ask you something? Where did this come from, all of a sudden?
Well,
Are you worried that someone might have access to your secrets?
yeah, something like that.
Then you don't need to worry. Amadeus was developed so as to not share any secrets the original one once shared. The same goes for the save data. Even if someone did steal it, the parts the original person wants to keep secret the most are kept within a black box. They can't be accessed via Amadeus or from the memory data itself. If those secrets get out, it's because a living human wanted them to.
A living human.
That's right. The original person themselves, in other words. Well, feel better?
Yeah, I guess so.
It wasn't that she didn't trust Dr. Leskinen. She couldn't relax until she'd seen for herself that no one had taken the data. While only thought it was possible to believe something after you'd seen it yourself. That's how she thought a scientist should be. But right now, she didn't have the access rights to do so. So in the end, she was stuck with her doubts. She knew this was going to happen, but she couldn't stop herself from asking anyway. You.
Oh, I didn't expect to see you two here.
Dr. Reyes walked through the door just as she finished her conversation with the professor.
Christ, don't you two know it's a holiday? What about you, Dr. Reyes? I've got nothing to do in my hotel.
Mel exchanged a glance with Dr. Leskinen and then shrugged. That's just how scientists were. What? What? What's going on?
It's nothing.
She and Dr. Leskinen laughed at Ray's confusion. The doubts in her mind lingered. Back to Okabe. Oh boy. I'm very scared for whenever the bad things are going to start happening again. Kreesu's memories were inside Kagari's head. Yep, that's a fact. Several days had passed since I'd begun to suspect my hypothesis was correct. I'm sorry, Ocarine. I've caused a lot of trouble for you.
別に
No, it's nothing really. And I think Lukaku and Mayuri are doing a lot more for you than
そ
me.
れに
In fact, Mayuri and Lukaku are doing a very good job of taking care of her.
いろいろと気
Mayuri
を
may
配
not
って
have
くれてるは
realized
ず
it,
だ
but Kagari looked up to her as a mother figure. And after living under the same roof for so long, Lukaku had come to care for her a lot.
That's not true. All I'm doing is giving her someone to talk to.
Do you realize how important that is?
Mayushi's sorry she can't do more, you know? No, that's not true. Luca's being really nice, and just having mommy around makes me happy.
Mayuri fidgeted in embarrassment when she heard the word mommy. I could understand why. It must feel strange to be called mommy at her age, especially by someone who was older than she was.
Hey, mommy? What is it? Can I give you a hug? Hug? Can I give you a hug like you always used to do for me when I was little? I'm blushing. I can't. No, go ahead.
Hug. No. Mary smiled and nodded, and Kagari gave her a big hug with a huge grin on her face. Hug.
Kagari's such a good girl.
Mary never asked for details, but she seemed to sense what was happening to Kagari. She probably understood that this was the best thing that she could do right now.
Mommy.
It was strange. Kagari was a lot older, but when they were like this, they really did look like mother and child.
Thank you, mommy.
Cute. Kagari slowly moved away from Mayuri. She looked a lot calmer than she had a moment ago. It was probably okay to talk to her now. Okay,
それで
so, Kagari,
鏡
how are you doing?
調子はど
How am I doing? I guess I don't know.
よくわからな
You
い
don't know.
とは
Sometimes I find myself remembering things, but I don't know if they're Carice's memories or my own. Complicated formulas, experiments. It's like I don't understand them, but I know them.
Kagari's only memories were of her time as a child and the time since Lukaku's father's friend had found her. Carice's memories would appear sometimes and fill the gaps in between. I couldn't even imagine how that must have felt. Again, it's like a time leap. This seems to be like... This is what I imagined probably what happens if a time leap goes to someone that's not the person that's intended to receive the time leap information. This is probably what happens. And where their mind just gets other memories every now and then to fill in blanks. Again, though, how did this even begin? Was it Leskinen? Was it Ray's? Was it some other third party? Was it this fake Yuki? Slash Kagari thing? I don't even know.
Just a while ago, I remember Daddy. It was when Daddy told me I did good when I was little. I remember that, and it made me really happy. But my parents died when I was a baby, and then Mommy Mayuri raised me. I don't know who my dad is. But even though it wasn't my own experience, I've really felt happy when he praised me. And that just made my head feel funny.
Kagari grimaced and held her head in her hands. The first time I met her, I'd been surprised by how much she looked like Karisu. But talking to her like this, I realized how different she was. The way her expression was constantly changing and the way she always slightly overreacted was actually more like Mayuri. Was that because they were mother and child?
その
So, do Karisu's memories come out often?
よく出てくるの
Yeah, a lot more than I used to, maybe.
そうか
I see. Is this because of her exposure to questions that would be answered by Karisu's memories?
Hey, Ocarine, what's gonna happen to Kagari?
I assume nothing bad will happen to her personality. I don't think Kagari is going to change as a person. I think it's just, she's gonna have a lot of memories that don't make sense is the thing. But I don't think that's gonna affect her personality, per se. Unless those memories are very dire. Normally, the best thing we could do is get her looked at by a team of specialists. But given her position, it wasn't that easy.
I don't really want an exam. That was all I did when I was little.
Yeah?
Yep, they said it was to treat my PTSD.
So she didn't seem eager to be looked at either, huh? If more Kurisu's memories woke up, what would happen to her? Would she be Kagari Shina with the memories of Kurisu Makise? Or would she become Kurisu Makise? A person's personality was more than just the sum of their memories. The memories were an important part of it. Once she had Kurisu's memories, what would happen to her? Again, personally speaking, I don't think she'll always remember she's Kurisu. Because, I mean, it's not deleting her... Here's the thing. It's not deleting her other memories. Now, if it was deleting her other memories and replacing them with Kurisu's, then we'd have ground... Then I'd say there'd be grounds to say that she'd be replaced with Kurisu. But it doesn't seem like her old memories are being replaced. It just seems like there's additional memories being added. So, I don't think it'll completely erase Kurisu. Or, sorry, I don't think it'll completely erase Kagari. At this point, no one knew. It's quite possible that up until now, no one had ever shared a person's memories before.
Oh, Mayuri, it's time. You're right. Hyokrin, can you take care of Kagari? Right, we got a meeting at school about our post-graduation plans, and we have to go. Sorry.
Don't apologize, and don't worry. I'll take her home.
Thank you.
Something bad's gonna happen.
Okay, Kagari. See you tomorrow. Bye, Mommy. I'll see you tomorrow.
She's gonna get kidnapped. Once Mayuri and Lukaku were gone, it was just me and Kagari in the room. After the problems with Kagari's memory started coming up, I'd been having her hold off on her job at the Bronx Tube workshop. But I was still having her come here as much as possible during the day in case something happened. Suzuha and Tanuji were downstairs. That alone made me feel better. I still think something bad's gonna happen. I suddenly felt Kagari looking at me. What's wrong?
I just realized how strange it is to be talking with you like this, Hyokrin.
Strange? Why?
Because to me, you're always just this person I heard stories about.
Stories?
Yep, Uncle Daru and Mommy would tell me about you.
That's right. According to Suzuha, I was going to die in 2025. Which meant that in Kagari's time, I was no longer alive.
Mommy talked about you all the time. Hyokrin saved your mommy. Hyokrin is Mommy's Hikoboshi.
She still talks like that in the future. That was my turn to be embarrassed.
So I always wondered who this Hyokrin person was that my mom cared so much about. Who was this Rintaro Okabe that everyone talked about? Maybe I always admired you a little?
Stop teasing me.
You're blushing, Hyokrin.
Kagari clearly had the upper hand here. Gosh dang it.
Oh, but that's probably true of Kurisu Makise too.
Kurisu?
Yeah, Mommy and Uncle Daru used to talk about Kurisu Makise all the time. She died so long ago. I wonder what kind of person could have that much influence on things.
What did Mayuri say about her?
She said she was the person you loved.
I mean, not wrong? The person I loved. For me, that was an undeniable truth. But that wasn't true for the rest of the lab. In this world line, Mayuri had never met Kurisu, and I tried as much as possible to avoid bringing her up. But thanks to me, even in the future, she'd still feel that way. Oh, I know. I'm going shopping. Wanna come with me?
Shopping?
Yeah. You still don't know this area well, do you?
Can I?
Of course. After what happened in the last world line, it was probably a good idea to keep her from going outside too much, but she probably needed a change of pace. But it's still afternoon. As long as we stuck to busy streets, we should probably be fine.
Yay! There's actually a lot of things I've been wanting.
Things?
Just some basic necessities.
Isn't Lukaku getting you these things?
Yeah, but he's a boy, right? So I didn't want to ask him for too much.
True, even if he was beautiful, Lukaku was a guy. There were some things he just wouldn't understand. Okay, let's go.
それじゃあ
Yeah.
Something bad's gonna happen. I don't trust this. I don't trust this at all. I don't trust this at all.
This really is amazing.
Yugari's eyes were shining as she looked up and down the street.
There's so many people and so many stores. It's hard to believe it's the same Akihabara.
未来の秋葉原は
What's Akihabara like in the future?
The best way to describe it is, a pile of rubble. Well, that goes for more than just Akihabara, though.
Suzu had said that the Third World War would start soon, which meant that a young Kagari would have only known the world after that horrible war. Of course, that was all my fault. Probably. If I did what Suzuha wanted and went back to July 28th, would the world line change so much that the Third World War would never happen? Impossible. World lines were going to converge no matter what I did.
Oh, Karin. Are you telling yourself that it's your fault?
I guess. She'd read my mind.
I guess so, but you can't think that. No. As far as I know, nobody, not Mommy or Uncle Daru, blamed you. Because they all believe that you do it someday. What was it? Steins Gate? They believe you lead us there.
I knew Kagari was trying to make me feel better. And that Mayuri and Dara would probably never blame me. But those words just made it worse. Because I'd given up on everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
I must have had a pretty dark look on my face.
あいや
No, I'm the one who should apologize. But I'm not.
We're not here to talk about that today. I don't get a chance to go outside often, so let's talk about something more fun, okay?
Yeah. Kagari's mind was probably filled with memories of a painful war. If nothing else, those were her only memories as Kagari Shina. But she was still trying to make me feel better. Even if they weren't related by blood, she really was Mayuri's daughter. Still, it was hard to come up with something that was more fun to talk about.
Oh, I know. I want to hear about what Mommy was like when she was young.
マユリの
Mayuri?
I mean, I know she's still young right now. But when she was younger, like when she was a hostage?
マユリは
Mayuri told you about that.
話しているのか
Yeah, I love the look on her face when she talks about you. It's like she's softly opening the lid of a treasure chest, maybe. Her face, her voice, just remembering it makes me feel warm.
To Kagari, Mayuri must have felt like a star shining in a world of darkness and mud. A star shining brighter than anything else in the night sky.
別に
It was nothing, really.
大好きなおばあさ
Her
んだった
grandmother
からっ
died,
て
and Mayuri really loved her.
ずっと悲
She
し
looked
ん
so
でたあい
sad,
つ
like
が
she was going to disappear any minute
今
now.
にもそれで口から出
And
た
then I said something
痛
really
々しいセ
silly.
リフだ
You're my hostage, right?
Hearing it from another person made me so embarrassed that I wanted to go hide.
若かったんだ
I was young. The
若さ
folly
ゆ
of
えの
youth,
過
you
ちと
know?
いうやつさ
But those words saved Mommy, didn't they?
It's kind of funny. Okabe in this time really wants to try and get away from Hugh and Kyoma and live a normal life because he thinks that people will like him better and he'll be able to be accepted better, but in a weird way, everyone kind of wants him to go back to Hugh and Kyoma because it was kind of, people saw him as the real silly side of him.
どうだろう
I
な
don't know. If those words meant that I was holding her back, even all the way into the future.
Karin?
そんなことより
Hey, are you hungry?
腹が減
Let's
ら
go
ない
get
か
something to eat.
何
Oh, yeah.
I started walking ahead in an effort to change the subject. Kari seemed hesitant as she tried to keep up.
何か食べたいものあ
Is
る
there
か
anything you want to eat?
Anything's fine.
そういうのが一番
There's always the
困るん
answer
だ
that makes things the hardest. That's always the answer that makes things the hardest, you know.
But everything in this area tastes so good. It's amazing.
未来じゃ何を食べ
What'd
て
you eat in
た
the future?
Mostly yams and stuff. But Mommy would flavor them differently every day.
マユリが
Mayuri cooked.
Yep.
マユリの料理は
Was her cooking, well,
う
good?
まかったのか
Yep.
そう
I see. The human animal was capable of growth, it seemed. Well, Yuki had been teaching her a lot lately. Maybe that had paid off.
So anything's fine, really.
Alright then. Still don't trust. Stop taking people to May Queen. I swear to God. Yoma, I don't care how much you know this place and the people here. Stop taking people to freaking the maid cafe. Cat girl maid cafe. Stop it.
Welcome back, Master. Oh, Green and Kagarian too.
I had chosen to stop by Main Queen Yan Squared, and it was packed.
今日は混ん
It's
でる
busy today.
That's right. We used to start an anime tie-in campaign, yeah.
Come to think of it, there was a sign out front with some anime characters on it. I've seen those characters all over town.
So the place is packed, yeah. If you're willing to wait 3 minutes, I can seat you.
そういうことなら
We'll take a rain check
また
then,
今度にす
okay?
るよ
Yeah, let's come back someday when it's a little slower. My apologies, guys.
I'm still scared. Something bad's gonna happen to Kagari here any second now. We left May Queen Yan Squared and walked around for a bit, but it was lunchtime and every place we saw was crowded.
Wow, there's people everywhere.
まったくだ
That's right. They should all just eat at home instead of going outside.
家で済ます
That goes for us too, doesn't it?
Now then, what to do?
Should we at the lab?
言っとくが
Just so you know, I
俺
can't
は料
cook.
理なんてできないぞ
Me neither.
Then that was out of the question.
It doesn't have anything to be anything complicated. I always wanted to try that one thing. You know, the noodles you put hot water on?
カップ麺か
Instant noodles. You sure that's what you
あんな
want?
ものでいいのか
In the future, a lot of factories go away, so it's a lot harder to get. Uncle Daru was always talking about how he wants some, so I wondered what they tasted like.
She was okay with that, so was I. And I just the thing. We bought a lot of instant noodles at the local convenience store. If there were any left, Daru would probably eat them.
Wow, I didn't know there were so many different types of instant noodles.
今は未来と違って
Unlike the future, there's all kinds of different ones now. Convenience stores get new stuff almost every week.
毎週
You're right, so I can pick any of these?
Gary looked inside the plastic bag I was holding.
もちろん
Of course, take your
好き
favorite.
なのを選ん
Alright, which one should I pick then?
She looked just like a child, the way she put her finger to her lips as she has her eyes shown.
I'll have this one, salt flavor.
なんなら
You can take 2 or 3 if you
い
want.
つでも食べてもいいぞ
Really? Oh, but if I eat too many, I'll get fat.
She had so many different expressions that I never got tired of watching them.
Hey, didn't you also get something else while we were there?
あ
Yep, this.
あこれだよ
Fork. I took something plastic out of the bag.
Is this?
I can't wait for this stupid little pink bunny fork to be important in the near future, isn't it? I swear to God, why are you showing me a stupid little pink bunny fork? It's gonna become invaluable in the future, isn't it? Stop it!
フォークだよ
The fork. I thought it might
箸
be
じゃ
hard to eat
食
with
べづらいんじゃな
chopsticks.
いかと思って自分専用のも
You
の
can
に
keep
し
it and
て
leave it in the lab.
ラボに置いておけばいい
Is that really okay?
別に
It's nothing special,
大し
really.
たものじゃない
Grace had always wanted her own fork. I just didn't make up for anything. I just want to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, I'm not very good with chopsticks. Mommy always lectured me about it. Oh, it's got a bunny on the end. How cute. My own fork. It means I own 2 things now.
The other thing must have been the keychain that Mayuri gave her.
I don't know why, but feels like I've always wanted this. Could this be one of Karisu's memories?
さあ
I don't really know.
Hey, Green, you were in love with Karisu, weren't you?
I almost choked at the unexpected change in direction of the conversation.
Are you okay?
Where did that come from?
いきなりなんでそうなる
Because that's what it means when someone is important to you, right? So, is it true? Did you love her?
She seemed genuinely interested. I guess she was the right age for that.
まあ
Well, it's true that meeting her changed my life.
俺の人生
You changed the subject. No fair. But I like the idea of someone being so important to you that they change your life.
She changed everything, past and future.
So, Ocarine, what kind of person do you think she was?
気になるか
Are you interested?
I want to know more about the person who owns these memories in my head.
俺が教えなくて
You
も
still have her memories even if I don't tell you, right?
記憶として
But I can't force myself to remember them. Sometimes they just come out in fragments. And it's all really complicated stuff. So I want to know more about what kind of person she was, you know?
Kagari had never actually met Kurisu, had she? She was sharing the memories of someone she never met. It would make sense she would want to know more about her.
あいつは
She... Kurisu
マキセイクリ
Makise
スは
was a very curious
とにかく
girl.
I see, I see.
その上頑固
And she was stubborn.
自分が
If
正
she
しいと
thought she
思
was
った
right,
こ
she
と
would
は
never back down,
誰
no
に
matter
何を
what.
言われても
I see.
不遜で
She was
強がり
arrogant
で
and strong-willed, but
そのくせ
also really lonely.
寂しがり屋で
The memories of all the conversations I had with Kurisu and everything I'd gone through with her came flooding back into my mind. I talked to her just like this once before, come to think of it. Not in this world line, though.
それに
And she was scary when she got
怒る
mad.
と怖かった
Scary? How?
回答して海馬に電極ぶっ
She'd
刺
say
す
stuff like, oh, cut open your skull and jam an electro into your hippocampus. And then for some reason, she ran a few steps forward and spun around. And then...
You keep talking like that and I'll cut open your skull and jam an electrode into your hippocampus.
Damn.
Should I cut open your skull and jam an electrode into your hippocampus right now?
Kurisu.
Was it like that? Ocarine?
Oh,
Oh, no, no, no. The memories of Kurisu inside Kagari. If they could be perfectly replicated inside Kagari's head, would Kagari Shina become Kurisu Makise? It was a stupid idea. Personality and memories were different things. But even so, if her memories turned into Kurisu's completely, if that happened... Kagari?
Eh?
Huh? Kagari wandered back up to me and put her weight against me. It was so sudden I caught my breath. I could feel her warmth on my chest. The feeling of her skin. It reminded me of Kurisu.
クリス
Kurisu. The sound of her pained moan brought me back to reality. What's wrong,
どう
Kagari?
した
My head. My head.
頭が痛いのか
Your head hurts. Kagari's body twitched in my arms. No. No, I don't want to go back. Save me. Someone get me out of here.
どうしたんだ
What's wrong, Kagari? Save me, Mommy. I want you to save me, Mommy.
落ち着け
Calm down.
落ち
Calm
着くん
down,
だ
Kagari. The hell just happened? I grabbed her hands to keep her from struggling anymore. The people on the street were staring at me, but I didn't have time to think about it. It's okay.
大丈夫
It's okay. Oh, Cream.
歩けるか
Can you walk? Let's get back to the
とにか
lab.
く
She finally calmed down, but seemed to still be in pain. I let her lean on my shoulders as I took her back to the lab. What the hell just happened? Once we got back, she went to sleep and didn't wake up. Her headache seemed to have calmed down, but sometimes she would still moan. I contacted Mayuri and the others, and they were probably going to arrive soon, but the words she'd said before. Save me. Save her? Wait, what? What's going on? What was that? Were those fragments of her lost memories? If that was the case, then she really was...
Ocarine!
Just as I went to look at the clock, the door opened and Mayuri and Lukaku came running in.
Is she Kagari okay?
あ
Yeah, she's
あ
sleeping
今
now.
はよく眠っている
I'm so glad.
She must have heard us talking because Kagari's eyes slowly opened.
Kagari,
あれ
where am I?
ここ
She looked around, afraid.
落ち着いて Calm down. You're in the lab.
ラボ
Lab? Japan.
そうだよ
That's right. Akihabara, Japan.
日本
Japan.
私
In Japan.
にあ
Oh, that's
そっか
right. The exchange
私
program.
交換留そういえば
I need to get ready for the lecture, don't I?
準備は
Wait, what? That's not... No, wait, what?
留学
Exchange program.
様子が
She's acting
変で
strange.
す
That's Karisu.
ねえ
Hey,
おかり
Ocarine?
That's Karisu. Exchange program. Lecture. Those were Karisu's memories.
あれ
My paper.
論文
Where's my paper? I worked really hard so I could show it to
見てもらおう
Dad.
と思って
落ち着けかがり
Calm down,
そ
Kagari.
れは君の
Those
記
aren't
憶
your
じゃない
memories. Kagari looked up at me in a daze.
オカリン
Ocarine.
そう
That's right. Your name is
お前は
Kagari
Shina
Shina, not Karisu
マキセクリス
Makise.
じゃない
かがり
Kagari.
私
My
は
name is Kagari.
シーナ
Not good. What do we do?
ルカ子
Lukaku, sorry.
Mariga.
Can you handle this?
かがりのことを
Yes.
Kagari was confused for a while after that, but she gradually started to calm down again. Once it seemed safe to do so, I'd taken her back to Yanabayashi Shrine. But maybe we weren't going to be able to look after Kagari ourselves after all. Maybe we should take her to a hospital? Was it my ego that was stopping me from doing so? I kept thinking about that as I walked along.
Mayushi's gonna stay over tonight, okay?
Yeah, that would be a big help.
そうしてもらえると
It
助
would
か
make
る
Kagari feel a lot better. What the hell just happened?
なるべく
Try to treat her like you
普段
normally
と同
would,
じよう
as
に接
much
し
as
てやってく
possible.
れ
Yeah, okay.
I told her to contact me right away if anything came up, then head back to the lab.
かがり
Is Kagari in bad shape?
That was the first thing Suzuha said to me when I walked through the door. She and Mao were sitting on the sofa. I told them about the situation already via Rhine. But they were still worried anyway, probably.
今は落ち着いてる
She's
が
calmed down now, but she was very
一
confused
時
for a
はかなり
while.
混乱していた
やっぱり
Is it
ク
Carice's
リスの
memories?
記憶
あ
Yeah. At this point, I
あ
don't
こ
think
こま
there's
で
any
来ると
doubt.
もう間違いないだろ
I still don't know why, but inside Kagari's mind were Kurisu Makise's memories. The question was how to deal with this problem. There were limits to what we could do on our own. The most we could hope to do was figure out how this had happened. That wouldn't be a real solution. To really fix this, we needed to get her back to normal, to erase Karisu's memories and restore the original Kagari. And for that, we need the help of a specialist. Mao Hyaja was a specialist in that sense. There was nobody else who knew as much about memories and the workings of the brain. But there was a problem. We still hadn't told her that Kagari was from the future. In this world line, Maho didn't know Suzuha and the others that well. Of course, she didn't know about the future or the time machines. Was it okay to tell her?
ね
Hey, how'd you
え
guys meet
あなたたちは
Kagari?
漆
I wonder what she was up to before she came to Urushibara's house. Kagari was found near a prefectural border in Chiba. When she woke up, she didn't have any memories of what had happened before.
That was the same as the last world line.
But she had her memories of when she was a kid, right? You knew her. You knew her, didn't you? Didn't you? Where was she when she was a little kid?
Sue looked at me silently. Oh dear. Is Kagari okay? Why are you asking me? We're all doing our best. That's right, Dara and Ma are helping, and so are you. We got your help too, so it'll be fine. Yep. Yep. Mayushi will do her best. Yeah, keep it up. Oh, thanks, Okarine. Okay. She felt responsible for what Kagari was going through right now, probably. I could see on her face that she wanted to bring back the old... the old Kagari somehow.
Uncle, what do we do? Can we tell her?
Ma was a scientist. If we told her the truth, she'd be sure to take an interest in time travel. She might start working on a time machine. This was a big risk. But if we want to save Kagari, we don't have a choice, I guess. I thought for a moment, then nodded. My priority right now was helping Kagari. Suzuha nodded back and then turned to face Maho.
Only very few people know about what I'm about to tell you. So make sure you don't tell anyone, okay? What's all this about?
Mao seemed overwhelmed by the sudden chill emanating from Suzuha. But Suzuha kept talking.
It may seem like a joke, but it isn't. Can you promise or not? Pick one.
Mao looked at me, hesitant. But she must have seen something in my face.
Fine. I won't tell anyone. I promise.
She nodded.
Alright, I'll start by answering your first question. Where were Kagari and I when she was a kid? We were living in 2036 after the Third World War ended and civil wars raged on everywhere.
Mao's mouth hung open for a sec, but soon her cheeks flushed with anger.
Don't make fun of me. I'm being serious here.
Suzuha remained silent. Her eyes were ice cold and staring straight into Maho's. Hyajo, Suzuha warned you at the start. This isn't a fictional story, and it isn't a joke. Suzuha and Kagari came from 25 years in the future in a time machine.
In a time machine? There's no way you can make...
Even if I told you it was Kurisu Makise who came up with the basic theory? The second I said Kurisu's name, the anger vanished from her face.
That... can't... Fine, I'll listen to what you have to say.
Suzuha and I told her almost everything. How I met Kurisu, about the D-mails, what happened in the Alpha World line, the development of the time machine, Mary's death, the tractor field theory, what happened in 2036, what was going on with Kagari. The one thing I didn't tell her was the truth about Kurisu's death.
Just give me a moment to process all that. What you're telling me is that Suzuha and Kagari came here from the year 2036 to have Akabe change the future, right? That's right.
Miles sank into the sofa inside.
I can't imagine Okabe being capable of pulling something like that off. I can't believe that the fate of all humanity rests on a single person.
I don't think I can do it either. I've given up, actually. On the entire future.
It's not really believable, but the theory you described might allow for a time leap, yes. And more than anything, it was Kurisu who came up with the theory, right? Then it's worth looking into. Because she was a genius.
Her words together seemed like a mixture of admiration, jealousy, and envy. So you believe it, yeah?
In exchange, I want you to let me see that time machine. If you came here in it, it still has to be around, right? It is. It's very close. I'll need to look into this, but I've decided to believe you for now. So I want you to help me to believe. Alright.
There's no hesitation in her voice.
Thank you.
If Azua said it was okay, it wasn't my place to speak. If Ma was going to help, that was all that mattered. Let's get back to Kagari. Like I just told you, she separated from Suzuha when she was 10. And we have no idea where she was until she was found last month. I'm thinking she may not have been in Japan. For how long? I had no way of knowing. It may have been the whole time, or perhaps only a week.
Uncle Ocarin's hypothesis is that she was at Victor Condria University.
Yeah, and then in some form or another, she made contact with Amadeus. The look on Mao's face was one between acceptance and resignation. She sighed loudly. A copy of Karisu's memory data had been saved for use by Amadeus. This data was the only possible source for the memories within Kagari's head. Her words today had only strengthened my theory. Exchange program, lecture. These fragments of memories were all from before she'd come to Japan. The memory data had last been saved just before she came to America. That was another match.
I just checked with Dr. Luskin a while ago. Karisu's memory data has been sealed away, and no one can access it, he said. But I don't have the authority to check that for myself. And it's possible someone took the data before the project was shut down.
The only people who could have done that were people involved in the Amadeus research, right?
Not necessarily. Anybody could do it if they hacked the server.
Anyone was an exaggeration. Your average person wouldn't have a clue. You would have to be a super hacker.
The question is why? If your theory is right, why would they want to do that?
That's a great question, actually. Why? What's the point in this? That's actually a fantastic question that I didn't even consider. What's the goal in all this? Exactly what is gained out of making Kagari own Karisu's memories? As far as I can tell, it's not really doing anything, as far as I can tell. It's just... what's the point? It just seems pointless. So why? The most obvious possibility was that someone wanted to access Karisu Makise's mind. But Amadeus should suffice for that. There's no need to move her memories into another person's brain. And why would they want her mind that badly anyway? She was a genius, sure, but she'd only published a single paper. There was no reason to think it would be that important to anyone. Unless... what if someone knew that the basic theory of time travel was locked in Karisu's memory? You don't think it's going back to that asshole, do you? Someone out there would want it. Don't tell me it's going back to that asshole.
Karisu would write that theory in the other world line you were telling me about, right?
Have you ever heard of Dr. Nakabachi's paper?
Nakabachi? The guy who saw asylum in Russia?
That's right.
I took a look at it, and calling it a paper is being way too kind.
I think it's an inferior copy, and there's another version, an original.
What are you talking about?
Dr. Nakabachi's real name is Shoichi Imakise. He's Karisu's real father. I thought back to what I saw that day.
But I've also been thinking about whether it's possible to create a time machine. Read this. I want your opinion, Dad.
It's not bad.
Really? I think maybe we could publish it under both our names.
Don't publish this. I'll take it.
Come to think of it, I remember her saying before she left Japan that she was going to see her dad. He was announcing a new theory and she'd been given an invitation.
That day, Nakabachi had stolen Karisu's paper. And after he'd gone to Russia, he'd published his own paper. I hadn't seen it myself. Whenever I thought about it, I always thought about what I'd seen that day and what happened right after, so I'd been avoiding it. But I'd heard the professors at school talking about it. It was so terrible that it had become something of a running gag. But if it was just a bad copy of the original, if what had been published was just Nakabachi's own reinterpretation of Karisu's theory and her original still existed somewhere else, That's right. Kurisu had written the original theory. It had to be better than that. She'd actually succeeded in making the time leap machine.
それじゃあ
Then you mean to say someone found out about this paper and is trying to get the theory needed to make a working time machine out of Kurisu's brain? The cause of the Third World War was the intensification of the race for the time machine between the EU and Russia. Even America started to get involved, and it got completely out of hand. Things are proceeding exactly as history said they would.
Those people had attacked the lab in the last world line. Tanuji had said they weren't Japanese, but they were military. So military wanted Kurisu's time machine theory. That would explain why they chose to download her memories into Kagari's mind. It'd probably be the best way of actually getting, because we know where it is now. It's in that laptop. That laptop is where those memories, or is where that paper is. Anyways, who's calling me, or texting? I'm worried about Kagari. We'll do what we can. It bothers me that I can't do anything. It's not much different for me. Don't say that. You're much stronger than me. I'm not that great. I always think I'm a lot better than I really am. But thank you. I'll do the best I can to live up to the person you think I am. Thank you. You really are strong. Aw. Amadeus would never talk about something that didn't want to talk about. But what about a human? I see. And what about a human that doesn't have the same connection to those memories? Kagari doesn't have like a personal connection to those memories that she has. So she might be more willing to give them up. Unlike Kurisu. There were truth serums and torture methods. A human could be forced to talk, maybe. Maybe they'd done that to Kagari. Of course, this was just a guess. But if it was a military that tried to kidnap Kagari, it was quite possible.
Moving memory data into a brain, huh?
It's possible, right? Even with modern technology. Kurisu succeeded in it, and she said it was an application of her own research.
Yeah, that's right. It's possible. And that's what Amadeus was originally created to do.
Medical applications, wasn't it? Leskin had talked about at the seminar, and Mao had interpreted. Yeah, it could be used for like dementia or Alzheimer's or something, right? In this world line, Amadeus had been shut down and the seminar had never happened, though. Mao gave me the same explanation I'd heard before. I was right, and memory data transplants were theoretically possible.
Kurisu's time loop machine is another application of this.
Of course, both of them were intended to move the memories back into the original person's head. And Kurisu had said that even that was dangerous.
Then what would happen if you tried to move them to another person's head?
I think the answer is what's currently happening to Kagari. That's gotta be what's happening. Kurisu's memories have been forcibly injected into... Kurisu's memory has been forcibly injected into Kagari's body, into her mind. And it's causing a lot of stress on her. Because half the memories she has now don't even make sense. They're not even hers. They're not real to her.
I don't think it would be as simple as copying them to a hard drive on a PC with a different OS. We don't even know how much capacity the human brain has. In terms of strict storage capacity, it should easily have enough room to store the memories of two 20-year-old girls.
Dora once told me that the brain's storage capacity was 3.24 terabytes.
But the problem goes beyond that. Like you said, we're still not even at the point of successfully downloading memories back into the original brain. If you try to copy these memories into someone else's brain, it could cause serious inconsistency problems. In fact, we're seeing those errors starting to happen right now. What will happen to Kagari if we don't do anything? Will she turn into Kurisu Makise?
That really has just been the main question right now. If what's happening continues to happen, will it eventually lead to the deletion of Kagari Shina and into the rebirth of Kurisu Makise? Again, personally speaking, I don't think so. Though at the same time, I can't deny there's a possibility. I just don't think it's likely, though. But just because it's not likely doesn't mean it's not possible.
Memories and personality are different things. Memories are controlled by the hippocampus and cerebral cortex. Personality is constructed by the prefrontal cortex. The functions of the two are intricately connected.
Different parts of the brain had different functions, but they weren't completely independent. Memories probably played a large role in forming your personality.
The mix of the two sets of memories is probably putting a lot of stress on her brain. If we don't do something, it could cause her entire personality to disintegrate. Suzuha slammed her fist into her knees in frustration. Is there some way to stop it? The only way to remove Karisu's memories from Kagari's mind. The problem is, how the hell do you do that? Can you do it? If I can analyze the data in her brain, yes, but how many years away that is, I don't know. So there might not even be a way of saving her is the problem. Suzuha's fists were clenched so tightly I could almost hear the sound. I could tell she was blaming herself for letting Kagari run away. If there was a way, it would be to overwrite her past memories again. Overwrite her memories? I don't think whoever altered her memories intended to leave her original ones. They were intending to have like a complete swap, like a complete replacement. It was an accident that she has like mix of her own memories and Karisu's memories. I see. In that case, the only way to really fix it is if we can make a copy of Kagari's memories that are unaffected by Karisu's memories, and then plant those into Kagari's mind. So basically, we would have to be successful in doing what the original person who put Karisu's memories are inside. We'd have to do what was originally intended, but with Kagari's memories, basically, is what I'm hearing. We have to replace all of the current memories Kagari has with Kagari's own memories that are unaffected by Karisu. The problem with that is we don't have access to her memories, do we? There's not really a way we can get her original, like, we can't get like a copy of her own memories before Karisu started affecting them, right? She might have been right. Putting two sets of memories in one mind was just asking for problems. Which means that the experiments they'd done on her had resulted in a different outcome than they intended. In a sense, they had failed. So if we were able to overwrite her memories once more with the proper equipment, it might fix her. But we don't have that memory data. We'll just have to hope they make backups. What about the equipment? It would be great if we could find it somewhere, but if it doesn't exist, we can make it. It's not that easy. But Karisu made it, right? Huh? Oh god, you're asking me to remake the phone wave? Gosh dang it. Oh, right. It had to work similarly to the time leap machine. Which means I can't... No, I will make it too. I might be able to help with that. The question is where to find our memory data. Yeah. We'll just have to find it somewhere. Yeah. That's a great question, though. How the hell are you gonna find it? We found her in a frickin'... She was found in the mountains. But there simply wasn't enough information. All we knew was that in a non-Japanese... All we knew was that it was that it was a non-Japanese Western military. And that information wasn't solid either. If anyone held the key, it was the woman in the motorcycle suit. Yeah, the one who, again, and of course there's that anomaly. The one who acts like Kagari, but it's not Kagari. But it also looks like Yuki. What the hell? I thought of a name and quickly brushed it from my mind. Any good ideas? None. It wasn't Yuki Amane. It couldn't be. We talked late into the night trying to come up with a way to find out who had done the experiments on Kagari. But even though we spent a lot of time on it, none of us had any good ideas. Oh boy. I can't believe it. No, but it's true, isn't it? On the train back, Mahoyaja was having trouble controlling her excitement. Two girls who said they'd come from the future, and Rentaro Okabe's story about the time leap machine. Normally, she never believed them. But if Karisu Makise's mind had made these things possible, she could accept them.
Kurisu was a genius. She might be capable of it. To Maho, Kurisu seemed capable of anything. And most of all, she'd seen it for herself. On the way back from the lab, Suzuha had taken her to the top of the radio building and showed her a real time machine. It was night, and she didn't have a lot of time to look at it closely, but she could tell at a glance that it wasn't made with modern technology. Honestly, she wanted to start working on making another one tomorrow. No, right now even. But she had something to do first. The time leap machine that Kurisu had made, she needed to make an improved version. That meant she was going to be practically living at Okabe's lab for a while. She decided to get what she needed from the office in Wako City. She's gonna get attacked. From outside the building, she could see that the lights were still on despite the late hour. Oh god, the window's open.
Maho!
Maho! The room's been trashed! As soon as she got inside, Dr. Leskinen rushed over, his face pale. What happened here? The room had been clearly ransacked. Of course, the place barely had anything in it to begin with, so with a quick glance, it was hard to see what had changed. The Mao and Dr. Leskinen's desk had clearly been searched. The drawers had been locked, but the locks had been broken with their contents spilled out. Dr. Reyes hadn't brought much of anything, fortunately, and so she'd escaped with very little damage. But her drawers had been dumped out too. What happened here? Someone broke in. A thief! It was like this when I got here. It might be espionage. In an empty office like this. Wouldn't it make more sense to hit the Riken Institute next door? Only a few people even knew that this office existed to begin with. Suddenly Okabe's words began to take on a new meaning for her. Could this have something to do with what he'd said? Was a secret war over the time machine already beginning? Anyway, Mao, I want you to see if anything's been stolen from your things. Okay. The laptop. Well, was anything taken? No, nothing of mine. She checked the desk and the drawers and couldn't find a single thing missing. What about you two? I don't seem to have lost anything either. I looked at my computer, but I don't see any trace of access by a third party. You're sure nothing was stolen? Yes. Come to think of it, Maru, what about your laptop? Was that stolen? Oh, I left it at the hotel. It should be fine. No, it's not! I see. I hope you're alright. You're right. What do we do? Call the police. If nothing was stolen, it might not do us any good to make a fuss. You're right. Maybe we should just wait and see what happens. Ma wasn't sure that was a good idea, but she could understand that going to the police was a big hassle. Especially since they weren't Japanese to begin with. And more than anything, Dr. Leskinen probably didn't want to lose time that could be spent on research. The same was true of Maho, too. Actually, Professor, I need a favor. Dr. Leskinen agreed to give her a vacation much more readily than she expected. Maybe coming to the office over New Year's had paid off. Now she'd been able to focus on the time leap machine. When she got back to her hotel room, she quickly got her things ready. She wasn't checking out of the hotel, but she needed clothes and other things so she could stay at the lab for a while. She's gonna get attacked. Okay, last thing I need is... When she finished packing her bag, she grabbed another bag that was placed next to it. It was the laptop and portable hard drive that she'd gotten from Kurisu's mother after her death. She tried many times to crack the password, but never managed to succeed. She knew that she wouldn't have time to do anything with it, but she still didn't want to leave it here. That's right. Wasn't he... After she made one last check of her things, she got ready to leave her room, and an idea came to her. Not a bad idea, if I do say so myself. Maybe this is what Kurisu wanted. She quickly shook her head and chased the idea from her mind. Kurisu would get mad at her. Life and death were like a binary, 0 and 1. You could be one or the other. There was no will that existed after death. If it existed at all, it existed inside the brain. Is she gonna get attacked? I'm still expecting her to get attacked, honestly. Several days passed, and I still had no idea who planned the memories in Kagari's head. I went all the way out and talked to the priesthood founder, and even questioned the locals in the surrounding area, but I had no luck. Suzuha seemed to be doing her own research. She hadn't been back to the lab since then. She was in touch with Daro at regular intervals, so I don't think she was in danger. I asked Tanuji and Moeka again, but neither of them seemed to have any luck. In this world line, the lab hadn't even been attacked, which meant they might be up to something else. Even if they were, I had no way of even imagining what it was. They're gonna attack soon, aren't they? But I was sure that someone had kidnapped a young Kagari Shina and experimented on her, and only recently had she escaped. They had to be planning something, and I was sure it was bad. We didn't have time to wait for them to act. But without any clues, there was nothing we could do. My mind kept going in circles, and I kept getting more frustrated and nervous with every minute.
Sorry to make you do all this for me, Maho. No, it's almost done. I'm doing it for me too.
Maho staggered out of the development room, sank into the sofa, and smiled sleepily. There were dark spots under her eyes. For the last few days, she'd been working on the device without any sleep. Her work needed to pay off soon, as fast as possible.
Anyway, I never would have come up with the idea of using a cell phone. And even if I had, I never would have actually tried it.
When you're talking on a cell phone, you always need to put it up to your temples, you know?
That's where the frontal and temporal lobes are. If you consider that the parahippocampal gyrus in the temporal lobe is where memories are stored, it makes sense, I think. The question is how we compress the memories, isn't it?
I'm working on I didn't read my own dialogue. I'm working day and night to make that happen. Sorry, Daru. And you absolutely insisted that I not let them find out that I'm hacking them from this lab, so it's extra hard. I've got other work to do too, you know. Compress the memories, we needed CERN's LHC, no matter what. That one took a lot of thought. If we made an enemy out of CERN, that tragedy I'd gone through before would repeat. The main reason that CERN had attacked us was the D-mails we'd sent to the past. If it weren't for that, they probably wouldn't have bothered. And since we weren't sending D-mails, CERN would probably never even detect us. Probably. Fortunately, Suzuha had the IBM 5100 that we needed for the hack. Things were coming together better than I expected. You know, Korean, she's almost like a completely different person now. You're right. I nodded, Daru. For the past 2 days, more of Kurisu's memories had been invading Kagari's mind. Lately, she even started discussing complex technical subjects with Maho. She was acting just like Kurisu used to when she lived in America. So is she actually slowly being replaced by Kurisu? At first, Maho seemed put off, but she eventually adapted. Maho probably wanted to get details about the device from Kurisu, so it seemed to be helping.
You know, even after seeing the time machine, I still can't believe you made the time machine in a lab like this. The idea of digitizing human memories and sending them to the past is an amazing one. You're brilliant, Maho. I'll say the exact same thing to you. Huh? You're a genius, and in the end, I'm just Soliri.
Watching the two of them, it was easy to fool myself into thinking that it was Maho and Kurisu talking. Hey, Kagari.
Oh, right. I wanted to ask about Marius. What happened to the project? Unfortunately, it was shut down.
Kagari.
Shut down? Why? Did Dr. Lesson decide to do that? I don't know. The professor said the orders came from higher up. It was going so well.
Hey, Kurisu.
Yes?
Ah, crap. It's getting bad. It's getting really bad.
Huh? What was I just...
You're Kagari. Kagari Shina, right?
Kagari Shina. That's right. I'm Kagari Shina.
Kagari suddenly put her hands up to her head, afraid. She's slowly being erased from her own mind. And she's barely even able to realize it at this point. That's terrifying. Just slowly, slowly yet surely just losing yourself, and you don't even realize it until it's too late. Ugh.
And what are these memories in my head?
They're Kurisu Makise's memories, not yours.
I don't know what that means.
Kikari was acting completely different now than she was just a moment ago with Mao. She raised her voice like a child throwing a tantrum.
To me, these are all my memories. My memories of Mommy Mayuri, my memories with my dad when I was a kid, and then my memories of the college in America are all inside me. I don't know which are real and which are fake.
Her words turned to sobs. I could understand how she felt. From her perspective, it was all real. None of it was fake. It was easy to tell her to just get a hold of herself. But it wasn't that easy for her to actually do it. I remember what Karisu had said when she finished the time leak machine. She said you could never put your memories inside someone else's mind. It would destroy their personality. She was right. It's literally eating at her. It's making her deteriorate. She's slowly becoming not Kagari Shina. But just if we were to leave Kagari like this, what would happen? Yeah, I was thinking this is gonna lead to a bad thought in Okabe's mind. It's the little devil on your shoulder saying, like, what if we just let this happen? In that case, the end goal could potentially mean Karisu's return, right? Sure, she'd be in a different body, but it would still be Karisu. Just her memories in a different body. So, and he could have both. He would be able to have both Karisu and Mayuri in one timeline. For him, that would be the ideal, without having to go to Steins Gate and deal with that. So, I can see why it's like, of course he'd have these thoughts, like, why not just let it happen? He'd finally get to see Karisu again. Finally get to be with her more. There was a chance that her own memories would disappear and only Karisu's would remain. If that happened, who would the person in front of me become? Would they be Kagari? Or would they be Karisu? If it was Karisu... That wasn't true. It was impossible. I couldn't even think about it. But the more I thought, the more I felt a horrible idea tugging at my mind, no matter how much I tried to ignore it. What am I supposed to do? Save me. Mommy. Daddy. Would have been great if Mayuri was around. But unfortunately, both she and Lukaku had gone to school. Both of them were worried about Kagari and had told me to contact them if anything came up. But that didn't mean I could rely on them all the time. Kagari-tan, wanna go for a walk to get your mind off things?
That's right. Humans have a tendency to overthink things when they're sitting still. It might be better to move around a little. Okay.
Alright, Green. Take care of Kagari-tan.
Okay. The two of us walked out to Central Street together, but we really didn't have anything to do. The air outside must have made her feel a little better, because Kagari was starting to calm down. So, is there someplace you'd like to go?
Can I go anywhere I want to?
Yeah, anywhere you want.
Then take me somewhere you went with Karisu.
What?
Take me someplace you went with Karisu, Ocarine.
Somewhere I'd been with Karisu. May Queen? Yamabayashi Shrine? Where could that be? The coin laundry in the neighborhood? Foreign Park? Gyudon Sambo? I hadn't spent a lot of time with her at fun or romantic places. I spent a lot of time with her, but most of it had disappeared into many different world lines. Gotten through that time and time again. But most of it had been spent arguing and working with her at the lab. We never spent any time going to places or to have fun. And we never made it to Aomori either.
Where'd you first meet Karisu, Ocarine?
Where we first met.
That's where I want to go.
The radio building. The place where Karisu and I had met. It was...
Is this it?
Brightly colored building in front of Akihabara Station. The radio building. This is where it started. Yes, this is where everything had begun. On that day, the time machine appeared on the roof of that building. It was just after that when I met Kurisu. I could still remember it. The challenging look in her eyes. Thinking back, I may have had already fallen in love with her then. But even though this was the place I'd met her, this is also the place where I'd... Ocarine, what's wrong? Sorry. Lately I've been so busy with Kagari that I'd started to think I was getting a little better. But maybe I wasn't. You're really sweating. I'm sorry. Is this my fault? No, that's not it. It's just... Whenever I came here, I couldn't help but remember what happened that day. But... let's go. You sure? You're not feeling good, are you? I'm fine. I couldn't just stand out here forever. I couldn't keep Mayuri, Daru, and the others worrying forever. If I need to get over it at some point, then... Alright, let's go. Something soft touched my hand. Kagari was holding my hand tightly in hers. Thank you. Kagari led me down the bustling street toward the radio building. My knees felt like they were about to give out at any second. Even after I'd gone inside, I was still doing better than I thought I would. But I still didn't feel like climbing the stairs where it had happened. We took the elevator to the roof. Ferris, aka Rumiho Akiha, had carefully locked the door to the roof so that no one who wasn't authorized could enter. I've been given a key too, but today was the first time I was able to use it. The first thing I saw after coming onto the roof was a strangely shaped object. The time machine.
I remember this. I came here in this thing.
Kagari happily ran up to the time machine. It was right after she'd separated from Suzuha that she'd lost her memories. She remembered going from the future to this place in 1975.
The first time I came outside here, I was amazed at how pretty the sky was.
Unfortunately, it wasn't very pretty right now. But Kagari spoke as if there was an endless blue sky stretching out in front of us.
I didn't want to leave Mommy, so I stayed inside the machine and cried. I missed her so much. But Suzuha told me that I had to stop crying, and I couldn't be like that anymore. I was still so sad. And then the hatch opened and I saw the blue sky.
The sky in 2036 isn't blue.
Yeah. The war made it all black and dark, and they wouldn't let me go outside very much.
The mid-70s were right after the big economic growth spurt. Ecological concerns weren't as important as they are now. That was also when air pollution was a really big deal. The air probably wasn't as clean as it is now. If it seemed beautiful to her, anyway, then that must have meant the air in the future was really terrible.
Ocarine, this is where you first met Kurisu?
No, this isn't it. This is... A cold drop hit my nose. Rain!
It started to rain.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. Yep, it was like this before. I was just thinking that. Okabe, you're alive. Right. I forgot I might run into you here. What were you doing? Thinking. Oh. It's just like before. The rain had been falling then too. When she learned that either she or Mayuri was fated to die, she'd come here and looked up at the sky like this.
It's really pouring. Ocarine, get inside. Ocarine.
What's she been thinking then? When she entrusted her fate to another person. To me.
Ocarine, you're going to catch a cold. Hurry!
Kagari dragged me inside, away from the noise of the falling rain. A few moments later, I found myself sitting there. The place was being renovated and none of the stores were open. The lights were off too, and it made the place seem very gloomy.
That really surprised me.
It's just like before. That day, after the rain, Karisu and I had leaned up against each other and talked. And this was also the place where...
ここだよ。
This is it. Huh?
ここが
This is where I met Karisu.
俺とクリスが初めて会った場所だ。
Strictly speaking, this is where I'd first met her in the Beta World line. That day, half a year ago. What were you trying to tell me earlier?
さっきとはいつ
What are you talking about? About 15 minutes ago, before the conference started. You were trying to tell me something, right? You looked really sad. You looked like you were going to start crying in any second. Why? Have we met before? Thinking back, that was the beginning of everything. I wish I'd never met her. If only I'd known this would be the result. If I'd never met her, I wouldn't have to feel this way. Okarin. I felt something soft touch my face.
かがり
Kagari.
Mommy used to do this when I was scared.
どう
Why?
You looked like you were going to start crying in any second.
Kagari patted me on the head again and again as if I were a child.
あいつと
This is where I first met Karisu.
クリスと
Here on this landing.
あ
Yeah. She left a terrible
最
first
初の印象
impression.
は最悪
First time she met me, she was arrogant and spent a lot of time glaring at me.
上から目線では
Not
睨み
cute
つ
at
け
all.
てくるまでもっとも
Of course, she probably felt the same way
向こう
about
だって
me.
そう思ってただろうけどな
After all, at the time I was rambling about nonsense like organization agents.
But she still ended up being someone you cared about.
あ
That's right. That was in the Alpha World line, though. Right after I'd met Karisu in this one, she...
My face looks a lot like Makise's, doesn't it?
どうしてそれ
How
は
did you know?
Maho told me so. And so I looked it up on the internet and I was amazed. Maybe it's fate that her memories are inside me.
Fate. It always was. Fate laughed at us. It toyed with us.
Hey, just hypothetically.
A drop of rain ran down Kagari's hair and hit the floor.
If I were to lose my memories as Kagari Shina, and they were all replaced with memories of Karisu Makise, would I turn into Karisu Makise?
I'm not doing this to you. I don't want to do this. I don't want to erase a person.
そう簡単にい
It's
くも
not
の
that
じゃないよ
simple.
But what if it were? If that happens, would you be happy? If I became Karisu, would it make you happy?
It was the voice of the demon I tried so many times to ignore.
俺は
I didn't want that. Or did I? I wouldn't like that though. Another drop of rain struck the floor. I don't want to disappear. Not knowing why I was ever alive. Not being of any use to anybody.
かがり
Kagari. What's going to happen to me? I... Kagari was shaking a little. It wasn't just because of the cold. I'm sorry.
いや
No. I never did figure out what she was apologizing for.
このままじゃ風邪をひ
You're
く
going to catch a cold. Let's go
そろそろ
home.
帰ろう
Yeah. Just come in.
The first time I went to Lukaku's room, it really did look like a girl's.
You're both soaked. You better hurry and change.
Yanabayashi's shrine was closer to the radio building than the lab. So I decided to bring Kagari here. Mayuri had sent me a message on the way, so I had her come here first. I figured that Kagari needed Mommy Mayuri right now more than she needed me.
Mama.
Mommy,
Just like I thought, the second she saw Mayuri's face, she relaxed a little.
you must be so cold, right? I'll get a bath ready.
Lukaku handed us towels to wipe away the rain and ran out of the room to start the bath.
I want to take a bath with you. With Mayushi? Sure, okay. But what will you do, Ocarine?
Just save enough hot water for me, and I'll just go get a shower and leave enough hot water for me for after you're done.
いや、
Oh, I'm fine. You guys can go first.
かがり。
Okay, thanks. Make sure you change so you don't catch a cold, okay?
I'll work something out.
なんとかする。
Maybe I could borrow Lukaku's father's clothes? Just as I got up to leave the room.
Kagari?
Huh?
What's wrong, Kagari?
Something was wrong with Kagari. She was staring at Mayuri's face, confused.
かがり。
Kagari?
誰？
Who are you? Oh, shit. It's getting really bad. Oh, shit.
あなたは
Who are you?
誰？
It's me, Mayushi, Kagari.
かがり。
Kagari.
私
My name?
かがり。
Kagari.
違う。
No, I'm...
私誰？
Who
誰なの？
am I?
私は
Not good. It's bad. Kagari tore at her hair and let loose a cry that sounded like it came from the pits of hell. Get a hold of yourself, Kagari!
Hurts. Hurts. Hurts so much. Hurts. Hurts. Someone save me. Save me. Someone save me.
Oh, shit!
Kagari.
She was like a puppet whose strings had been cut. All the strength left her body and she fell forward. Shit! By the time I left Lukaku's house, the rain had stopped. We waited for a while after that, but Kagari showed no signs of waking up. She looked peaceful as she was sleeping, so I decided to leave her to Mayuri and Lukaku and head back to the lab. It's getting really bad. According to the two of them, she'd gotten confused several times in the past. But never like this. She's really starting to lose everything. We might have underestimated how dangerous her situation really was. Her brain was probably under a lot of stress already. We needed a way to deal with this, and now. But for that... I got it! The second I opened the door, I heard Dara and Mao yelling. Really? I ran inside without even taking the time to remove my shoes. Ocarine, perfect timing!
Akabe, you're soaked.
そんなことはどうでもいい。
That doesn't matter. Did you guys pull it
そ
off?
れよりもやった。
Dara gave me a thumbs up. Nice work, Daru.
でかした。
I'm a super hacker. This is nothing. You could say that, but I knew exactly how much talent and effort it took to hack CERN. Your average hacker couldn't do it. Up, and the bitrate just decided to die for a second. Hang on. What's going on? This is the first in a long time. Did my internet in general kill? Oopsie daisy. Hang on. Give me a second. This is interesting. Yeah, this has not happened in a long while, actually. Hang on. Attempting to reconnect. This is not good. Ugh. And just as things are getting interesting. Even more interesting than they normally do already. Let me see if my internet actually works on other devices. Let's see. Let's test. Trails. That's another game I'm playing at the time. What the frick? Oh, says reconnection successful. Back. Is something actually genuinely happening? Something might actually be happening to Wi-Fi because things are not working correctly. That's weird. I don't know what just happened. Did my Wi-Fi just kill? Hang on. We might have to end early today, potentially, if this is really bad. It seems like it's reconnected on... Let me try disconnecting from internet on this device real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, for some reason all my internet stuff just seemingly decided to shit the bed. What's going on? That's really bad, actually. Hang on. We need to do testings. Okay, that's weird. Okay, that's strange. So the connection regarding my, unable to get an IP address. Oh dear. Okay, so we... Okay, that's problematic. Alright, I apologize, but unfortunately we're gonna have to actually end it early for today because there's something going on with the internet and I need to fix it. So, I am very sorry about this, but we're gonna stop here for today. Let's go ahead and save the game. I don't know what's going on, but I need to figure it out and fix it because this could be bad. Again, sorry, but we'll continue this next time, whenever that is. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and hope to see you all later. Peace.